Well, how do we pronounce your surname? Ugu. Ugu.
Ugu.
Ugu.
Yeah, you got it. Ugu.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us from all over the world, you're warmly welcome to the Growth Conference. We are very excited to have you.
Aspiring to join a board is not just about prestige, it's an opportunity to influence key business outcomes.
Taking up a board seat can indeed seem to be a daunting task, especially if one is taking it for the first time. When I became CEO some 5 years ago, a young man walked into my office and asked a question I will never forget. He asked me, "What did you do to convince the white man to give you this job?"
You want to be tough in the boardroom. I know you want to fight. You want to bring in your best strategy to go to war. In boardroom, we don't war. In boardroom is an intelligent, mindful, and strategic engagement.
Today, you're not just joining a conference, you are joining a movement. Oh, yes, we are not just a conference, we are a movement.
My name is Rasco.
My name is Patrick Juma.
My name is Susan Chivanga.
I would like to invite you to join me and my colleagues to the West Africa Growth Conference, to be held virtually on the 19th and the 20th of September.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us from all over the world, you're warmly welcome to the Growth Conference. We are very excited to have you.
Aspiring to join a board is not just about prestige, it's an opportunity to influence key business outcomes.
Taking up a board seat can indeed seem to be a daunting task, especially if one is taking it for the first time. When I became CEO some 5 years ago, a young man walked into my office and asked a question I will never forget. He asked me, "What did you do to convince the white man to give you this job?"
You want to be tough in the boardroom. I know you want to fight. You want to bring in your best strategy to go to war. In boardroom, we don't war. In boardroom is an intelligent, mindful, and strategic engagement.
Today, you're not just joining a conference, you are joining a movement. Oh, yes, we are not just a conference, we are a movement.
My name is Rasco.
My name is Patrick Juma.
My name is Susan Chivanga.
I would like to invite you to join me and my colleagues to the West Africa Growth Conference, to be held virtually on the 19th and the 20th of September.
Thank you so much, technical team. Thank you for that display of our montage with our speakers, and also celebrating the people and companies who are supporting this Lauderby event. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are about to start the Growth Conference West Africa 2024. But before we start, we need to welcome our virtual guests. So right now, we want to welcome our audience, speakers, well-wishers, people who are curious, and people who want to know what to do in the boardroom. That's the theme of today's event. So I'm just going to the chat box and I'm going to see who I'm connecting with. And please, can you just give us with a wave of your flags where you're joining us from? And also to indicate if this is your first growth conference, your second or your third, because I'm well aware that we have been about around four places or 4 countries in 2024. So I think 1 or 2 people must have joined 1 or 2 events that we have, organized. So let's get chatting. And as we're waiting for people to send in their well wishes and just telling us where they're joining from, I would like us and urge us and employers and plead with us to go join us or follow our YouTube channel, Duola Ugu, the Growth Conference, or the Growth Coach on YouTube, so that you can engage and also follow up on other growth conferences that we have organized this year. We've been to Nigeria, we've been to India, the UK, East Africa, and here we are in West Africa right now. So I want everyone to please go to the YouTube page, share with your friends, share with your family, share with that woman you know that is eager to take herself to another level, even men too as well. I like because our events are not just centered about women, even if that's the focus, but we realize that everyone can gain and get a lot of benefit from us. So please share this link, share the links with your friends, let them join us in the virtual spaces, and we're ready to kickstart this session. Oh, Becky, Vivian, I'm calling people at random. Okay, someone from the UK. Oh, the lovely Raz, thank you. That time, she is truly someone who supports the Growth Conference. Thank you. Thank you. I can see Becky. I can see Alison. I can see Vivian. I can see Christina or Christine. I can see Sharita, beautiful name. I can see them. Someone is joining from Cameroon. Thank you so much. I will be coming back to the chat box and still getting information from our audience. But I want to have some house rules. I call them house rules because those house rules will allow us and ensure that this session goes smoothly with less disruption. So typically the day will run with speakers coming back to back with their after they're done with their sessions. We'll also have Q&A. You have an opportunity to drop your messages in the chat box. That's your questions, and they will answer it. Or if there's not enough time for the speaker to take your question, be rest assured that they will dive into the chat box to answer you as soon as their session is over, and you can engage with them further, so that we just stick with the program and we don't stay longer than we should. So if you work with me, we're going to end this session at the right time, and of course with so much value. We're taking so much value home. So I appreciate you for joining. I'm so appreciative that you're taking out your time. I'm sure your day was filled with a lot of hustle, bustle, but this is a time you have gifted yourself. I want you to take it as a gift because it is something that is truly transformational. So we have 3 more minutes to 6 p.m. 6 p.m. 6 more minutes. 3 more minutes, and our host will be taking the floor for a few minutes to introduce the moderator, and then we will engage again. Thank you so much. I see someone coming from Zambia. Oh, thank you. So Africa is so interconnected, you know. It's not just about West Africa, it's about all of us. So I like how other African countries are joining in on this, even if it's for West Africa. Someone from Lagos, Zambia. I want to see someone from Lesotho, you know, somewhere that is just so random, that is not even connected to West Africa.
I have a fellow Londoner that's joined, but we're both East African, Hina.
Hina, oh, the lovely Hina. Okay, I have to be partial. Everybody, welcome Hina. She is one of the moderators of previous events.
Can
UK
Hina
and
be
India.
spotlighted, please? Can Hina be
Please,
spotlighted?
I have to be partial on this, please.
Hina,
I have to
where
be
are
partial.
you?
I have to be partial.
So mute your mic and say hello to us.
Just say hello to us.
Can she?
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Hina. Oh, great.
Hi, Noella. Hi, Ogo.
Hi.
Hi, Hina.
Thanks for joining. Thanks for supporting.
No, thank you. Looking forward to an amazing session. You've got a powerhouse of speakers tonight, so I think we're in for a
Definitely.
treat. So ready with my notepad as well. There you go. Thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye.
Hina.
All right.
Hina has been a two-time moderator at the Growth
Yes.
Conference.
Yes, certainly. And we have someone from Uganda. Sorry to my audience, a little bit partial. You know, we're just, you know, celebrating people who support us, but you're also very important to us. So very soon we'll be spotlighting you as you continue to engage us on all platforms. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Tutu is here.
Oh, we
Tutu,
got-
how are you doing?
Barbados, West Indies. Is
Hello, Noella.
Alice?
Oh, where?
Alison is Barbados.
Ooh, that's
Wow.
so nice. Barbados. I
know,
love
Alison.
that. Okay, great.
Oh wow. Well, welcome, Alison.
Thank you for joining.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
I can feel the flavor in the audience. I can see the flavors in the audience.
It's
Thank you
exciting
so
the
much.
speakers as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. So I'm going to yield the floor to our hosts just to introduce the moderator, and then we'll kickstart. So, Dr. Genevieve, you have the floor now.
Dr. Jenny, I think you're mute. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
We
We
can't
still
hear
can't
you.
hear you, Dr. Jenny.
No.
Not yet.
Can I say something, Genevieve? Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Evening. Ahmed, is that you?
Good evening, Ahmed Aziz.
Dr. Genevieve, you
Yes.
can log out
Good
and log in again.
evening.
You can log out and log in again.
I just
Or,
would
or,
like,
or,
I just would
or
like
you
to
can take
thank
off your
you from
earpiece.
deep heart inside for
Okay,
this
sorry,
invitation. I really appreciate all of you. And thanks for Dr. Genevieve, who always invited me to this added value meetings. So I would like to thank all of you. And I'm looking forward to meet outstanding, amazing added value women in business. And this really fruit my experience in how to make our community, make our society more better and more professional. Thank you, Genevieve. Thank you, everybody in this meeting. I'm looking forward to meet all of you. Thanks again, and see
Thank
you
you,
tomorrow.
Ahmed. Yes, see you
Thank you,
tomorrow. Thank you.
Ahmed.
Thank
See
you,
you
Ahmed. Thank you so
tomorrow.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 So we'll give Dr. Genevieve a minute to rejoin, or if she can't settle that.
Let's just give her like 2 more minutes while we still welcome our guests.
Okay.
Maybe you want to play the montage
Montage.
while we're waiting so that everybody that's on can see it.
Ladies and gentlemen joining us from all over the world, you're warmly welcome to the Growth Conference. We are very excited to have you.
Aspiring to join a board is not just about prestige, it's an opportunity to influence key business outcomes.
Taking up a board seat can indeed seem to be a daunting task, especially if one is taking it for the first time. When I became CEO some 5 years ago, a young man walked into my office and asked a question I will never forget. He asked me, "What did you do to convince the white man to give you this job?"
You want to be tough in the boardroom. I know you want to fight. You want to bring in your best strategy to go to war. In boardroom, we don't war. In boardroom is an intelligent, mindful, and strategic engagement.
Today, you're not just joining a conference, you are joining our movement. Oh yes, we are not just a conference, we are a movement.
My name is Rasco.
My name is Patrick Juma.
My name is Susan Chivanga.
I would like to invite you to join me and my colleagues to the West Africa Growth Conference, to be held virtually on the 19th and the 20th of September.
Thank you so much for that. I want to confirm if Dr. Genevieve is back on.
Dr. Genevieve will be with us shortly.
Okay, we can get someone to Tutu can read the profile so that the other introduction can start.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, Tutu, you're on.
Okay. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our speakers, our audience, our hosts, and our moderators, Noella, the convener of this great conference. I welcome everyone to this session, the 5th session, the West Africa Growth Conference. Welcome. I will be reading the profile of our moderator, who will be taking over from here. She will lead us forward in this conference today. So we have Ogo Ekwele. She is the moderator for this session. She is a dynamic entrepreneur and lead consultant at Lena Meji Co. with over a decade of experience transforming organizations across various industries, including oil and gas, fashion, retail, sports, hospitality, and governmental institutions. She has accumulated over 8,000 hours of corporate training expertise, specializing in designing tailored circular restructuring processes and implementing effective communication frameworks, highly skilled in brand strategy, leadership development, and public speaking. Ogo has been recognized with the prestigious Associate Fellow Award from the Royal Commonwealth Society for contributions to regional development and strategic leadership. She is also a certified foodie, dancer, and travel enthusiast, passionate about personal growth and mindset shift. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ogo, our distinguished moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tutu. Thank you, Tutu. Thank you for that wonderful rendition. I really appreciate. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am now the official moderator. I have been given the capacity now to take over this session. So let's just start off, and we are really excited to kick off yet another transformative experience. And that the growth team is bringing to your digital devices. More importantly, This is an experience that will profoundly change your mindset, reshape your thought patterns, and ultimately inspire you to achieve remarkable feats or reignite that passion, that spark of passion within you. Now, our journey has been truly extraordinary, spanning across the globe, from Nigeria to East Africa, the UK, India, and now West Africa. And the feedback we have received has been humbling. So we know West Africa is renowned for its vibrant culture, flavorful cuisines, complete with playful food rivalries, like our banter of jollof rice wars. We have rich music, energetic dance, bold fashion, and an incredible diversity of languages. But most notably, West Africa is home to some of the brightest minds, trailblazers who have outpaced their peers and industries to leave an indelible mark on the world. So it's with no surprise that we are honored to have the gracious and esteemed Dr. Genevieve Pearl Duncan as the host of the 2024 Growth Conference, West Africa. Dr. Genevieve, please, is she now available so that we can spotlight her as I read her profile? Dr. Genevieve, let's give a warm virtual round of applause to Dr. Genevieve if she's available now.
Can you hear me? Hear you clearly, Dr. Jenny.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Oh.
Can we spotlight her now? Great, fantastic. As I read her profile, you know, Dr. Genevieve is the lead consultant at Tarragon Edge Limited, Ghana. She's a multiple award winner in banking, leadership, and a light bearer for African women. She's listed as one of the 100 most impactful change makers in Africa by Humanitarian Awards Global 2023 and listed in the 40 most influential female leaders in Ghana 2020. Her experience is wide. She's a customer experience strategist, corporate trainer, and an SME consultant with great passion for gender financing and youth leadership. She's an enthusiast of the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly 5, 7, 8, and 17. She's currently the lead consultant at Tarragon Edge Limited, and prior to her new role, she worked with Fidelity Bank Ghana Limited, where she managed flagship branches and was known for exceptional service delivery and leadership skills. Her expertise are in personal team development, leadership, customer experience, partnership brokerage, writing, women empowerment, and SME consulting. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we have to just give her a round of applause because her profile is rich and robust. And no wonder she is our official host of the Good Conference West Africa. You're welcome. So I yield the floor to you, or the virtual space to you, to kickstart the session. Thank you so much.
So much. First of all, my apologies for technology issues. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to be your host. And as you all know, I'm welcoming you from the gateway to Africa. So welcome wherever you find yourself. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Why are we here today? We are here because we care about women. We are here because we are really focused on getting a lot of more women into the boardroom. And I would like to officially say a very big thank you to the convener of this wonderful conference, Noella, for your vision. And also to say a very big thank you to all our esteemed speakers who are ready to share their wonderful experiences, great insights, and ensure that our next 2 days is going to be nothing but extraordinary. For me, I've always said that if a lot more women find themselves in leadership roles, diversity, equity, inclusion is what we are all asking for. So when we find ourselves in these rooms and we can help in making decisions, businesses are going to be more productive. We are going to grow as human beings. We are going to grow as women who would make impact. And as we all know, women are wonderful pieces God has created. So when we have that synergy, the boardroom synergy, it makes life beautiful. It makes businesses transform. According to Forbes, one of their reports that I read, when we get a lot of more women at the top, when we get a lot of more women in the boardroom, what happens is that not only businesses thrive, but investors get high returns on their investment. Because like we all know, whatever you give a woman, she multiplies it. And same is with money. When you give us money, we have different ways, innovative and creative ways to make sure that this money is put to great use and it brings you more profit and more benefits. Not to say that we are fighting our men or we want to rub shoulders with our men. I don't believe that. I believe that as women, we are potentially created. God has given us our own unique potentials. And when we collaborate with our men, whether in the boardroom, whether at home, whether at the job site, wherever we find ourselves, the collaboration, the diversity, what you see and what women see is not the same. I see things in a different way. So do men see things in a different. I always cite the example that we are more aesthetically inclined. So we see things from different angles. So for instance, if we are all talking about women progressing and we are making sure that there is equity, we might not get it 50-50, we know, but at least there are greater opportunities to women to be able to take some roles that will not really hinder their progress because they've just given birth and they've come back and their lives have just been halted. No, we want to see a lot of more advocacy. We want to see a lot of more policies that are being done or that are being made to fit women and also to support us to be able to progress the ladder of corporate world or business world. Another thing I want us to remember is that as women, we have all it takes to make the difference. However, most times, most of us are laid back, the imposter syndrome. We think we don't have what it takes. But from today and tomorrow's session, I'm sure you'll go back home knowing that you have all it takes. You just need to hone a few of your skills, become a great communicator, become a woman who is versatile, not just at home and all the things that you do, but somebody who can bring good value to the board, somebody who can bring us results, because leadership has no gender. And the truth of the matter is that once you know that you have what it takes, and you are also working towards becoming a better person, definitely, the boardroom will find you very, very profitable, beneficial, and also adding value. To end, I would want to challenge all of us as women, especially, that after today's session and tomorrow's session, you're going to get insights to the politics, the dynamics, networking, mentorship, all that you need to know in terms of having a board presence, executive presence. What are some of the things that you need to add in terms of skill? What are some of the things that you need to develop so that you will get what it takes or you will have what it takes to be ready for the boardroom? Gravitas and grit is one key thing that I always talk about. The composure, how you communicate, how your appearance is. Do you have an executive appearance or you are just anyhow, anywhere? After tomorrow's session, I'm sure we would have been able to gather a lot of insights from our well-versed speakers, and we are going to go back to do so much. My other request to men who are on this platform, and I'm so happy, and I must say that congratulations for joining us. I believe that we cannot have women's discussion without our men because we work together. And once we know we work together and we have your insights to some of the things that are bothering us, you will become our he for she. You will become our male advocate. You will speak on our behalf. So thank you so much for joining us, our men. And I know that after today and tomorrow, all of us would be indeed ready, prepared, gain more skills, whatever we require to be ready as women to be on the board, as women to take key leadership roles, as women to be ready and poised for the journey of leadership ahead. Thank you very much. And I know that we have great speakers you're going to enjoy. We also have a time for Q&As, and I would entreat all of you to be ready to ask engaging questions. This is a platform for all of us to learn. So be ready to learn, relearn, and unlearn. And also for all those who have supported us, our partners, thank you so much. We appreciate you, and in due course, we will appreciate you well. I wish all of us the very best. God bless us all. And let's remember that we need to be on the board to make sure that diversity, inclusion, equity, and all that it takes for us to give our best to Africa and the world at large is done. Thank you very much. On this note, I would like to say a very big welcome to the convener. But before I do that, I will need to talk a bit about her. Nuala, I must say that I am so proud of you, sis. I love it when women collaborate and do great things. And I love the vision you have. And I'm ready, like I said, to support you as much as I can. And so is all our speakers who are here today to support us. Likewise, our audience. Without our audience, we can't have this beautiful session. So let me quickly introduce this wonderful woman who is the convener of this initiative. Nuala Ogu, the growth coach, as she's known, is a resourceful and impactful business coach and trainer who has assisted individuals in corporate organizations to achieve outstanding performance in their personal lives and businesses. She's an internationally certified image consultant, a certified neurologistic master practitioner, and a business analyst. She is a global keynote speaker and a consummate defender of the rights of women, the girl child, and indigent children. Nuala's career revolved around banking for 9 years, where she established a sterling record of consistent high performance. She leads a team of thoroughbred professionals that has successfully delivered bespoke intervention services in the core areas of business optimization, personal development, and so many more. In Nigeria, some of the very biggest corporate organizations, as well as across the globe. Nuala has an amazing passion for developing leaders at different levels, for waking up the giants in people, and for unleashing the potential of young people. Through her annual Hangout with Stars, a global platform for developing young African leaders, and Tech for Her, a tech awareness training program for young girls in secondary school, she has greatly impacted the lives of thousands of girls and young women and men across the world. She's the Nigerian chair for intercultural dialogue of the G100, a group of global female leaders. And I must say, I didn't know we were on this platform together. Congratulations. And a non-executive director at the Institute of Export Operations and Management in Nigeria. In 2021, Nuala was recognized for her passion for women and girl child, and she was selected to speak at the Global Audience on Gender-Based Violence and Gender-Based Inequality during the 75th Anniversary Conference of the United States. The same passion birthed the Growth Conference, a global platform for the development of outstanding female leaders. And that is why we are all gathered here today. I ask that you help me with a round of applause to welcome our convener, Nuala. Welcome, my dear.
Whoa, thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you so much. I am truly overwhelmed by the show of support by all of you here and the support we have received since the inception of the Growth Conference. So I'm not going to talk about today's topic because Jenny has done justice to that already. So I don't want to let too many cats out of the bag so that people don't get bored by the time we start. So I'm just going to tell us what the Growth Conference is about. So the Growth Conference, like she rightly said, is a platform for developing female leaders around the world. It's also a platform for global networking. It's a platform where we celebrate women who are doing things that are noteworthy in their corners. It's also a place where women can get a kind of mentorship and collaboration, if you will, because since the Growth Conference started, a lot of people have actually forged some sort of alliances. In fact, some people would even forge alliances as the Growth Conference is going on, and that's exactly what we want this to achieve. Now, we held the first Growth Conference in January, which lasted for 3 days. We had about 12 speakers from 9 different countries and about 16 countries in the audience. After that, a lot of people started calling me, oh, no, when are you coming to Burundi? When are you coming to UK? When are you coming to the US? I said, okay, no, we cannot, I can't tear myself into 1 million places. So what we're going to do is that we're going to regionalize this so we can have some kind of penetration in those regions and able to address the issues that are peculiar to those regions. So while we are women and we have our collective issues, there are still issues that are peculiar to certain regions. And that's what the Growth Conference has done. For example, in India, the topic for the Indian conference was returning to work after a career break. And it's been statistically proven that only about 3% of Indians, or some very minimal percentage of Indian women, return to work after a career break. So it was an issue in India that we had to tackle. So now we are having this conversation about how do you get into the boardroom. It's an African thing, not just an African thing, globally, because statistically, again, it's been proven that, okay, let's take the case of Fortune 500 companies. Only about less than 11% of the Fortune 500 companies have women as CEOs. And globally, less than 30% of women are actually CEOs or occupy C-suites, in different organizations. So it's not an African thing, it's a global thing. And it's been said that we're going to achieve this parity in 2053. That sounds like eternity, right? But again, we are happy for the progress we've made so far. At least we have platforms like this where we can even discuss this. In my mother's time, nobody was talking about parity. What? Nobody was talking about parity. Women were made to just go to school. That if you go to school, then just prep yourself to get married. Prep yourself to get married. But today we're talking about CEOs getting into the boardroom, occupying the C-suite. And I'm so happy that we're having this conversation. So thank you, everybody who is here as a speaker. I can't thank you enough. Jenny, thank you so much. This is really from my heart for agreeing to host this event. Yes, Noella is the founder. I couldn't have done this without all of you here. Why are dreams still born? Dreams are still born because you don't have a team to help you birth the dream. So the Growth Conference is made possible because people like you said yes to the call. And I'm truly, truly, truly very grateful to all of you. Jenny, I'm happy. Ogo, who has been with us since inception. Ogo is my mentee turned backbone, I just goes with me everywhere I go. And she's such a dependable person. Once I have Ogo somewhere, I'm happy. I could go to bed. I could just tell her, Ogo, you just do this. And I don't tell her how to do it. I just go to bed and she'll give me feedback. I'm so happy. Tutu, I'm so happy that you are here. Raz has been with us, a great supporter of the Growth Conference. Thank you so much, Henry. Henry, it's not been easy for Henry because he's been traveling up and down, but he ensured that he is here with us. Our men that are supporting us, you people are our strength. This is not a gender battleground, like I've always said. And we're not here to draw any gender battle line. No, we need our men to support us. This is a conversation. Our conversation cannot be whole without the perspective of our men, because there's a reason we were created male and female. So we need a balanced opinion in every conversation. We need people who can see our back and tell us, I think you're going too fast or too far, or you need to, just do it this way. Can we just look at it again? And that's what our men are here to do for us. Mr. Patrick, I don't know if he is here. We are grateful to you. Ahmed is he's in transit. Thank you. Susan, thank you so much. Shade, Fola Shade, Thank you so much. Despite the health challenges you are currently facing, you are still here with us. This is a show of commitment. We are truly, truly grateful. And Potter Bay, where are you? Thank you so much for honoring this invitation. And to our esteemed audience, we are happy because we couldn't have been talking to an empty room if you were not here. This program is not for the speakers. This program is for the speakers and for the audience. And if you guys were not here, then this session wouldn't have been complete. And for our crew who work behind the scenes, Sandra, our ever dependable, professional, and very detail-oriented event consultant. Thank you so much from the heart. Emmanuel, that will never show his face. He prefers to walk behind the scenes like a shadow. Thank you. We are happy to have come this far. And this is our 5th edition. Yes. And we're just getting started. Thank you, everybody. I already have my notebook ready to learn from everybody. Thank you. Sit tight and let's have an amazing evening. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. All that energy from our host, our founder. So we're ready. We're ready to just dive deep into the matter of the day, the theme of the day, getting ready for the boardroom. I hope we're ready. Pens, pads, phones, wherever you want to scribble down the ideas that you get from this session or the self-awareness you get from this session. Please just get ready and leave your heart and mind open because we have selected extraordinary speakers who are well experienced. So our very first speaker for the day is Mr. Henry Onukuba, Academic Director, Lagos Business School, HR Academy. You can see we're starting off with the men. So we want you to give us our full support. You give us your full support. Henry is and now I'm reading his profile. Please, can we spotlight him? Great, great. Let's spotlight his profile. Great. So Henry is a senior fellow and full-time faculty member at the prestigious Lagos Business School, LBS, where he serves as the academic director of the HR Academy. Since joining LBS in 2008, he has held senior roles, including Director of Alumni Relations and Executive Education. Previously, he was CEO of Consolidated Business Support System and founded Hebron Consult. A fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, CIPM, Henry chaired the CIPM Education Committee, earning the CIPM Mega Award for Creativity and Innovation. He has published multiple books, case studies, peer-reviewed articles. He's a certified gender equality champion, no wonder he's on our platform, behavioral consultant, and marriage consultant. Please, everyone, let's give a warm virtual round of applause, cheers, reactions to Mr. Henry. Welcome, Mr. Henry. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ogum. Thank you very much for that.
I hope you're comfortable where you are. Yes, hope you're comfortable where you are.
And,
okay.
Now this is a women conference, and we are starting with the man, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
It shows that we are in it together.
Yes.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening wherever you are. My name is Henry, and I'm going to speak with you with some slides. So I'm going to share my slides. And I need you to confirm that when you see the slides, that you've seen them.
Yes, I can see your slide. And I think other people have confirmed they can see your slide too. So you can proceed.
Okay, so I've been asked to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I've given a sub-theme to that involving women in policy making and supporting women to thrive in the workplace. I have a limited amount of time, so I'll try and see what I can do within that time. Moderator, please take me away from being co-host so that I don't get the waiting room.
Okay.
Yes.
Technical support, please help us with that. Thank you.
To disturb the flow of the.
So, okay, technical support, please take him out of co-host mode. Thank you.
All right. So this is how we are going to go. We are going to define the terms to be sure that we are all on the same page. We are going to tell you where we are going to, the destination. We are going to look at some facts on women's representation, both in policy making and in the boardroom. And we're also going to look at possible causes of what is happening to the women under representation. And we are going to profile some possible solutions, and then we conclude. If time permits, I might play you one or two videos, but let's see how it goes. Moderators, please take me out from this. Okay, so first it's, I didn't say you should disable me from sharing my screen.
IT, just to take him out as co-host, please let him share his screen, please.
If we remove him from being a co-host, he's not going to be able to share his slide. So that's why.
Okay.
That is the problem, eh? Okay, let's see how we
manage through. Thank you.
Just disable the waiting room so that people can just join freely. Just disable the waiting room.
Yeah, I think that works. Disable the waiting room. All right, so let's start with the term diversity. So the question is, what is diversity? Diversity in the workplace, in this case, refers to the incorporation of people from various origins, viewpoints, abilities, and characteristics into an organization. And we have elements of diversity, and these are all that I've put in bold, the three elements that concern us most here: the gender, the marital status, and the parental status. Now, equity is the next term we are looking at. Equity is defined by Oxford Dictionary as the quality of being fair and impartial. Now, equity is fairness and justice, and equity differs considerably from equality. So if you can see this image, now when you talk about equality, this is equality. Everybody gets the same pedestal, but it's different from equity because our strengths are not the same, our capacities are not the same, and we must recognize all of these differences, making sure that everybody has equal opportunity to see what the other person is seeing. That is what equity is. Now let's look at inclusion. Inclusion is equal access to opportunities, positions, and power. If you bring it to the corporate world, it becomes the degree to which an employee is accepted and treated as an insider by others in a work system. So the next question I'll ask is diversity and inclusion the same? Even from the diagrams we see, you can see this is diversity. We have different people all over the place, but this is inclusion, that there is some connectivity going on here. So they are not the same, all right? Benemea said that diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. So you can actually be invited to the party, but nobody wants to dance with you. And somebody puts it even better. It says diversity is about counting heads. Inclusion is about making heads count. So we may have women in the office, but do their heads count? Do their opinions count? Do their voices count? That is where the inclusion will come in. And what's the destination? When you have diversity and you have equity and you have inclusion, you get what is called belonging. And that is when somebody feels part and parcel of the organization, part and parcel of the polity, part and parcel of the system. So that is really where we are heading to. How do we get women to feel belong, in the system? Now, but I must share with you some sad facts. In area of policy making, only 13 women are heads of government out of 193 member states of the United Nations. Roughly half of all the current women leaders, 7 out of 13, are in Europe. And 9 of these 13 are for the first time, the women heads of government of their country. So it has not been like this before. Now, less than a third of UN countries have ever had a woman leader. It's a sad reality. In the United States, 147 or 28% approximately out of the 535 members of the 117th US Congress are women. And this is an even increase over the past decade, over 50%. So it's been worse than this. Okay. So even in the United States, which is the epitome, or supposed to be the epitome of democracy, we are seeing a lot of this discrimination, a lot of inequality. And look at this data. Now, this is the data that tracks the share of women in parliament all over the world, beginning from 1900. Now, if you look at this data, at 1900, a lot of countries never had women in parliament. From 1920, we begin to have some with less than 10%. From 1940, we begin to have 10 to 20% women representation. From 1960, we begin to have 20 to 30% women. And even in 2022, only infinitesimal number have 50% or more women in the parliament. So it's a world, it's an issue that covers the whole world. It affects everybody in the world, not just African issue. But let's come to Africa. We just 6 years before the 2030 deadline for this SDG goals. Many African countries are still very far from achieving women's equal and effective participation in political decision making. Let's take a look. This is percentage women political representation in Africa in 2024. And this is what you see. This is the African figure. Lower house of parliament 26, upper house of parliament 21, the two houses 25, political party leadership only 9%. This is in percentage. Election management body, those that conduct the election, local government speakers, mayors of capital cities, top executive positions, and cabinet members. So you can see all those figures in red where they are less than 25%. You can see 0 in central, 0 in north, 0 in west on political party leadership. If the women are not political party leaders, it means that the way politics is undertaken will be male-centric. You know, because there are certain ways we play politics that make it so difficult for women to be part of it. So this is reality. Now let's come home to Nigeria, where I come from. In Nigeria, we have this so-called 35% affirmative action policy, which says that 35% of all political positions should go to women. But the reality is that only 8 women are ministers in this country out of 45, and out of that 8, actually 1 or 2 have left, while only 9% are federal legislators. None of the 36 state governors of this country is a female governor. Now, the situation is getting worse. From 36 women in 2007, it went to 32 in 2011, and even worse in 2019, 22. So as the political cycle draws close, less and less women get represented. In the last election last year, we have only 8 female senators, representing 7.3%. And we have just 13 female House of Reps members, representing a mere 3.6%. what can it, I mean, what impact can these ladies in the National Assembly make? And even the number of women that contest the elections is a problem. So look at this. These are female representation in Nigerian politics. That means those that actually came out to contest the election. 17% for the Senate, 15% for the House of Reps in 2015. In 2019, it went down to 12.3% for the Senate, 11.6% for the House of Reps. And in 2023, it's the worst. In fact, 2023 has been the worst year for women participation in politics in Nigeria. So what is happening? Now, the consequences of this are, this is a severe challenge to democracy. Because we have disenfranchised half of the population. Women make up 49.6% of Nigerians. And in Africa, the picture is the same. So women and female gender interests are not fully represented in decision-making process. And this dovetails to the corporate world, where you now have enactment of non-women, that's not women-friendly laws. You know, non-women-friendly laws and corporate policies are enacted because the women are not represented. And let's see what happens in the corporate office. Now, this is labor force participation rate in sub-Saharan Africa. So the women are there in the office. They make up 58.6%. Okay? Now, but in the boardroom, let's see what happens. As of 2023, like Noella said, women hold just 10.4% of leadership positions at Fortune 500 companies. Globally, women hold 23% of executive positions, 29% of senior management positions, 37% of manager positions, 42% of professional positions, and 47% of support staff positions. You notice one thing? As the positions get less, you have more representation. They are there more in the lower cadre than the upper cadre. And it's not a world, I mean, it's a global thing, but Africa has its own peculiarities. And look at Africa. Non-management positions, we have 47% of women, but only 29% in senior management positions. Now, these are some of the sectors with the, the HR sector has a very large representation of women, education, social services, healthcare. But when it comes to mining, construction, real estate, and transportation, you don't find most women there. Now, come to the senior management level. In Africa, only 5% are CEOs. Only 5%. 23% are ESCO members, and 14% are board members. Asia is even worse, 4%. European Union is 3%. Latin America is 2%. US is 5%. So it's a global epidemic. It's a global epidemic. Board membership, you have, 17, 18, 10, 14. This is a global picture. Let's come back to our continent, Africa. By industries, only 20% in healthcare and pharmaceuticals, 19% in financial and professional services, 17% in transport, logistics, and tourism, 17% in consumer goods and retail, 16% in telecoms, 13% in energy and materials, and 10% in manufacturing industries. The women are not there in the boardroom. If you look at my regions, North Africa has the worst record, just 9%. The next worst is West Africa, my region, and then you have East Africa and Southern Africa. So here's the problem. What are the causes? What are the causes? The first is what I would say it is called you are not good enough. There's implicit bias and stereotypes regarding women's leadership capabilities. Men think women are not good enough. Even women think women are not good enough. You know this lady, one of the best persons that have come out of Africa. She was in politics in Nigeria. She was the controlling minister, Minister of Finance and coordinating minister. But many people still believe that she was not good enough. We lost her to the WTO. So no matter how fantastic a woman is, there's this feeling that you're not good enough. And so there are cultural nuances. Africa is a patrimonial continent. The men feel that they should be in charge. So there's resistance to change. People are not comfortable with the change. You know, there's fear of disruption of the existing power dynamics. Like I said before, women are held to higher standards than men. If you make a woman a CEO, people expect her to perform magic because she has to prove that she has to be there. She merits to be there. But a man will be, excused if he makes mistakes. But a woman will not be excused. Then there's the challenge of work-life balance, managing the home and managing the office, managing the political arena and all that. Political party meetings happen in the midnight. How many women can attend those meetings? Then there are lack of supportive workplace policies, such as flexible working arrangements and maternity leave. And then women are actually their worst enemies sometimes. It is easier for a woman to report a man than for a woman to report a woman. I don't have any empirical evidence, but it's something that we have all seen happen in organizations. Finally, there's what is called unconscious bias, and that's where I would like to play a video. I hope you hear the sound.
Take a look at this image. How many triangles do you see? 2, 6, maybe even 8? Ready for the answer? Well, actually, it's 0. There are no triangles. On average, our brains are working hard to try and process 11 million pieces of information every second. In reality, they consciously only capture about 50 pieces per second and actually process just 7, meaning we're constantly taking shortcuts to fill in the blanks. Unconscious bias is an example of a shortcut our brain takes to make snap judgments about people before we even realise we've done so. Everyone has deep subconscious preferences for people with similar characteristics to ourselves. Things like our own background, personal experiences, societal stereotypes, and cultural context all influence the perception we have of another person before we even get to know them. These biases can actually have harmful effects. They can prevent organisations from achieving diversity, as well as create barriers in people's careers. For example, research done by ActionAid and Care International found that female surge staff, that's the staff deployed in an emergency humanitarian response, felt agencies automatically turn to males to take up leadership positions, even if they're less qualified than their female counterparts. So, how can you tackle the influence of unconscious bias? Step 1. Become aware. There are dozens of different types of bias. Let's take a look at 3 common ones. Like me bias is when you have bias towards someone who looks like you or has a similar background as you. Confirmation bias is when we only listen to information that confirms our preconceptions. And anchor bias is when your mind anchors to the first piece of information that you were given about a subject. Anchor bias can particularly affect salary negotiations, and one example of this in the global development sector is the USAID biodata form.
Essentially, you have to write down your salary history for the last 3 years. And so if you are sending your biodata to a recruiter, the moment they open it and they look at your salary history, it's essentially them anchoring to that information. And from kind of that point on, regardless of if it's a much higher position, if it's a much riskier position, if it's a much more technical position, it almost doesn't matter because the recruiter's mind has anchored to this information that you've provided to them.
Becoming aware of your unconscious bias can often be the hardest step. The first thing to do is look back at when you've made decisions at work that might have been influenced by your unconscious bias. Think about the particular situation you were in when you made the decision and how the decision-making could be improved if you were more aware of your bias. Step 2. Find your trigger. Write a list of situations when you are most likely to experience these unconscious biases. Is it in meetings or before a particularly tough decision? Does it happen over email or when you talk to a specific group or person? Maybe it's when you're in certain moods, like when you're hungry, stressed, or tired. Step 3. Slow down. Next time you notice a trigger, try giving yourself a minute to pause and consider your response before instantly reacting.
So a great way to turn off that older part of your brain that makes these automatic snap judgments is simply to take 3 deep breaths. And you want to take, full breaths. So breathe in, then breathe out, and then count. And that helps you to calm down and turn off that fight or flight part of your brain and get back to the more normal part of your brain that can make a more rational decision.
Step 4. Do one small thing differently. You could ask a different person to kick off each meeting, or after a meeting, ask for feedback from someone who wasn't vocal and seriously consider their opinion. Once you've implemented this action, take note and give yourself some deserved recognition for tackling your unconscious bias. Research shows that positive emotions help to cement things as habits.
We are all very guilty of unconscious bias, and I'm going to start the solution from there. The first thing we need to do is eliminate unconscious bias. It's not going to be easy to eliminate unconscious because it's unconscious. There is this like me bias. You are biased towards somebody that looks like you. So a man who is at the top will most likely have an unconscious bias towards a fellow man. There are positions open, a man and a male and a female are vying for the same position. Your unconscious bias is to link to the man. There's a confirmation bias, something that you already believe in, and you are looking for something to confirm that. There is the anchor bias, there is the bandwagon bias. So find the trigger. What triggers that bias? Take a deep breath, take some steps back, and then try and do one small thing differently. Like in the video, you can ask somebody to maybe take charge of the meeting, and then you watch. So let's be aware of that unconscious bias and then try to solve it. The second thing is the affirmative action. Now, I've said this, many African countries are far from achieving the SDG goal on goal number 5, which is gender equality. We are very far from achieving this. So there are some organizations that have done something, are doing something, but it's not enough. We need to do more. Then for organizations, you need to develop what we call the DEIB action plan. You can't wish away the problem of non-inclusion, non-inclusivity, or the discrimination and all that. You have to legislate it. You have to, get a policy around it. So some of the policies, DIB action plan should talk about attraction and talent outreach, recruitment and onboarding, training and development, talent and leadership development, coaching and mentoring, performance management, compensation and benefits, inclusive work policies, flexible work policies, employee engagement, even separation and retirement. There must be policies around how we do this in our organization. It must be very, intentional. And then finally is the support. The most noticeable difference between inclusion and diversity is that diversity can be mandated. You can say, let us get people from all over the world, all over all the races. While inclusion will only come from voluntary action of management, voluntary action of leadership. There must be political willpower to make this inclusion succeed. Now, I will have to conclude because I was given 20 minutes for this talk. Diversity and inclusion without equity is like baking a cake without a recipe. Diversity is having a seat at the table. Inclusion is having a voice, and belonging is having that voice heard. So what we need is one love. And I'd like to end this presentation by inviting you to listen to this music.
Hey.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children crying. Hear the children crying. One heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let them all pass all their dirty remarks. One love. There is one question I'd really love to ask. Place for the
We need
hopeless
some
in
time for Q&A now. Because if not, we'll just be jamming all day to
All
this
right, thank you
music.
very much. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me. I hope you enjoyed
Thank
the
you
bit of
so
it.
much. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. I think they said when somebody, delivers excellently, we say the person spoke facts. So you give us facts with a lot of empirical studies. And as I was seeing the data, I was like, ooh, I knew it was bad, but we didn't know it's this bad. And that has been giving us more perspective and shown us and everyone connecting to say we need to do something. And you have there's a Q&A for you, 2 questions. And just let me ask the first question. So collectively, women groups and organizations have championed policy that favor women's career. However, there are some organizations that have not done much in this direction. How do we ensure through advocacy and policy making, women are given the opportunity to progress once they qualify, regardless their peculiar issues such as, of course, childbirth, family, or just being a general caretaker?
Yeah, so it's a good thing that a man is starting this conference, because you can't talk about women equality without having men as part of the discussion. So there's what we call men engage. The women need to engage the men. The men must be there to support whatever equality discussion is happening in the office or in the political arena. I know of 2 Nigerian ladies that formed an NGO called Elect Her. And that NGO's, the whole purpose of that NGO is to get more women into the political arena. They formed that NGO in 2019. Unfortunately, despite all their efforts, like I said, I shared in my slides, 2023 has been the worst year for women participation in Nigerian politics. So perhaps they needed men to support whatever they are doing, because we have seen that there is no Nigerian political party that has a lady as a chairman or a chairperson. So even the way the office, the politics is run in Nigeria is all male-centric. So it has to be a collective effort. The women must understand that they can't get this, they can't get very far on this journey without the men. And we, the men, have to be ready to support whatever it is, because at the end of the day, I didn't share with you the business case for inclusion, because it has been proven that actually, I'm a man, but I have to say it, women are better leaders, and where you have the men where you have the women at the top in the boardroom, in the majority, the organizations actually do better. So it is for the good of everybody that we support what the women are doing. And those who have come out to do it, the men have to support what they are doing for the good of the whole organization and the whole nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. I think everybody is still shocked with the data that you delivered, because people are asking why, how, and it just tells us that we have so much work to do. But obviously, the men need to champion this as much as we are advocating. The men are signing up to say not just on paper but in action. So thank you, Mr. Henry. Thank you
Let me give
so
an
much.
example. Let me give an example. Last year, last 2 years, there were some female laws in the National Assembly. They were tabled. That was last year or last 2 years. All of them were thrown out last 2 years before this present list. All of them were thrown out. Why couldn't they be thrown out? Because there is no woman to push those things in the assembly. So the men in the assembly, have to believe in those policies for them to be passed. So that's why I said women need to have men by their side in this advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Thank you so much. One thing I took away from here is diversity is getting invited to the party. Inclusion is getting asked to dance. And me, I'm going to ask also to eat the money. Eat as much as you want, how you want, and whatever satisfies you. So I'll add food to it because we need to be all around. So thank you, Mr. Henry, for this very, very insightful presentation. We have to move very quickly to the next speaker, and we appreciate your time. Thank you, and your knowledge and your expertise. Thank you. We take
my pleasure.
Don't take it for granted. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see, we started off energetic with all the data, making our heads to turn up and down. We have a lot of work to do. So the Growth Conference is spot on in putting this conference together. So we're going to go very quickly to our next speaker. And our next speaker is someone who has redefined what it takes to be a true transformational leader. We have Folashade Effiong Bassi, Group Executive Director, HR and Corporate Services, IPNX Nigeria Limited. Folashade, please spotlight her profile now. Folashade is a distinguished organizational transformational leader, coach, and corporate strategist with expertise in leadership excellence, digital transformation, and corporate sustainability. As the Group Executive Director of Human Resources and Corporate Services at IPNX Nigeria, she plays a crucial role in solidifying the company's position as the top ICT provider in Nigeria. Folashade champions a culture of empathy and excellence, focusing on empowering individuals and driving organizational growth. Her academic background includes a bachelor's degree in linguistics from the University of Jos and an MBA from the prestigious Business School, Lagos. Recognized for her significant contribution to human capital development, Folashade has been honored at the 2003 Social Impact and Sustainability Awards and has actively participated in STEM programs for young girls. She's clearly a powerhouse. She is a personification of the shared power of determination and focus in attaining accelerated organizational transformation across diverse business verticals, and she has harnessed this experience to navigate complex market environments. She's dedicated to empowering individuals, especially young women, exactly what we're talking about, to make informed choices in their quest for academic and career distinction. She will be taking us on mindset and visualization, developing the C-suite mentality, dealing with imposter syndrome, and low self-esteem. Folashade, that's just a summarized version of her profile. This topic is for me. I'm here, I'm sitting, I'm the only student right now because the key things you were speaking about are what we are all eager and at the edge of our seats to say, please help us navigate through this thing.
Thank you very
So
much,
welcome,
Ogo.
and I officially yield the floor to you. Please carry on.
Thank you very much, Ogo. And I'm very sure that this topic is going to resonate with quite a lot of us, especially as women, as we have had to grow in our career. So I'm sure there's going to be something for everyone. Now, Henry has given us a class act to follow. We'll do our best to keep up with him. And I particularly, was blown away by the data, just like everyone else. And I will tout our horn and say that in my organization, a lot of these gender issues are not existent. Our organization is more results biased, and maybe people have a lot to learn from us. We have quite a number of females in key leadership positions in the organization, including on the board. And our chairman for very many years was a woman until she voluntarily retired. So maybe we should actually, have a case study with us, Professor Henry. May I share my slide, please?
IT, please, I think you can share, or IT make her a co-host so she can share her slides.
Yeah. So I welcome everyone. I welcome the delegates. You are a rare breed. If you're on this call, you are here because you're looking to step to the next level. I'm not able to share yet. Okay, all right, just a second, please. You're looking to move to the next level of your career. Okay. And sorry, just a second, please. Wrong slide. My apologies, please. My slide seems to have disappeared somewhere. So odd.
Olashade, is it possible that you can check your recent files from your PPT? I probably will see it there.
No, it's not there.
Oh, wow.
Perhaps we could go on to the next speaker, if the next speaker is ready while I dig out the file. Or if you could give me a few more minutes.
Can I wait or I call the next speaker?
You could call the next speaker, please.
Okay, great, fantastic. Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
Apologies,
sorry.
please.
Okay, sorry for that IT glitch. We're moving on to a very exciting special guest. And one thing that the Good Conference does is to make our sessions very memorable. And apart from making it memorable, we always spotlight people who are doing exceptional things in their own lane or in their own industry or whatever platform they have. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce someone special, someone who put Nigeria on the map. After everything we've been through, she decided to make us happy. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Oluwafemi Ayo Olashade Alice. She is the multiple gold medal para power lifter 2024 Paralympic gold medalist. She's the first female in the world to lift 165 kg. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's give her a warm welcome before I read her profile. Please welcome our gold medalist, Fola Shade. Thank you. Welcome. Warm welcome. So let me read her profile. Yes, let me read her profile right now. So okay. Thank you. So I say her story is from polio to podiums, right? Fola Shade is a trailblazing Nigerian para-Olympian renowned for her unparalleled dominance in para power lifting, and her journey to greatness. She started her journey in 1999. Greatness starts early and from a long time. And when she joined the para power lifting, driven by her unwavering passion and determination, she was born with polio, which left her with a physical impairment, and Fola Shade refused to let her condition define her. She has unmatched achievements. Please pardon me to read out these achievements because they are really noteworthy. She has gotten the gold medalist. She was a gold medalist in London 2012, Tokyo 2020, and Paris now 2024 with the world record. She's also a world champion in Mexico 2017, Manchester 2012, and Paris again 2024. She is a world record holder for multiple records in her class, including the 166 kg, the 167 kg, and world's #1 ranked para power lifter, 86 kg category. And obviously, she's Africa's best unbeaten continental champion. Now talk about her personal life. So beyond her impressive athletic accomplishments, Fola Shade is a devoted mother and wife, balancing her family life with demands of international competition. As a role model and inspiration to countless and aspiring athletes, Fola Shade's legacy extends far beyond the competition floor. Her remarkable story embodies the spirit of parasports, showcasing the triumph of human potential over adversity. And she has this phrase called polio to podium, like I earlier mentioned. And she stood on, and as Fola Shade stood on podiums, her gold medal around her neck and a national anthem playing, she felt an overwhelming sense of pride and fulfillment. Her determination and passion has fueled her success and inspired countless others with her remarkable journey. But Fola Shade's story doesn't end there. She continues to compete and break records, cementing her legacy as one of the greatest, I love that word, greatest para power lifters of all time. That is our goats, that's just our goats. She also became a vocal advocate for disability rights and inclusion in sports, using her platform to make a positive impact on our community. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Fola Shade. I call you our GOAT, our champion. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. So,
Thank you very much.
Fola Shade will be sharing with us her journey, and I'll read her some questions. So those questions will lead her and how sharing her story with us. So Fola Shade, let me know you're okay and you're comfortable for us to start.
I'm good.
Are you okay? Are you ready for us to start? Okay, great. Good to go. So the first question, and everybody's eager to know, I'm eager to know, how does it feel to be the first African woman to win a gold medal in the para power lifting, especially in that category, and beating the world record of 167 kg? How does it feel?
I feel very good about it because it makes me feel like a woman, and it gave me confidence. Confident for a woman to lift 167 is not an easy job, but I still thank God. I feel very great to be one of them in Africa and in the whole world to lift 167. So
it's a very good experience for me.
That moment that you lived, how was it like? Were you sure of yourself? Were you confident? Were you jittery? What was the emotion that was running through you? Because sometimes when we are at the precipice of reaching success or getting to success, we kind of have cold feet. What did you do? What was your inspiration? What did you hold on to say, you know what, you're here now, you can do this?
Well, the first time I was so nervous. My first lift, I was like, can I do it? But the second one gave me full confidence that you're going to make it. That today, I said, whatever it will take for me to win the gold medal there, I will go for it. Just to prove myself, because I've trained for it. I train 3 times in a week, but I turn my training to 4 times in a week. 2 hours, I extended it to 4 hours so that to go there, because if I'm training, I always check the record. I say, I want to break that record and set another one. So I double my training. So that gave me that confidence that you are going to make it there.
Okay. Oh, wow. Thank you. I like the fact that you changed something. You needed to change something to achieve a greater goal. You were doing 2 hours. Now you increase it to 4. So to show that greatness, you must do something extra to achieve your goal. So I hope we're all listening. It's not just about having the mind that you want to achieve. You must do something that really changes your dynamics in achieving your results. Thank you so much for that answer. So very next question, was powerlifting your initial ambition, or did you have other goals prior to this profession?
Well, at the first stage, I never knew there's discrimination for people living with disability. Because when I grew up, after my secondary school, the ambition I have in mind is nursing school. I want to go for nursing school, but with discrimination, I couldn't make it. So I met with Coach John Ogutoye in Plateau State, Jos City, because I was born and brought up in Jos.
Okay.
So he introduced me to powerlifting. He said, can I do it? I said, yes, I can do it. But the first time I went for the training, it wasn't easy. So that was how I developed love and passion for the game. When I met some people there training, I started 1 week, I just fell in love with the game. So that was how I just diverted to powerlifting.
Great. What I got from this is that we need someone to take us there. The first step is we need someone to hold our hands to take us to where we want to be. Thank you so much for that. So next question is, what 3 key attributes would you say, or you would say, has helped you achieve success upon success upon success and being a world champion? What are the 3 attributes that has driven you up until this moment?
Well, one of it is prayer. If you are prayerful and you tell God this is what you want, you achieve it. The second one is focus. When you focus on your dream. Then the third one is passion. Just have passion for that thing you want to do. That dream you have in mind, if you have passion for it and you go for it, you find out that you do is going smoothly for you.
Wow. So we have prayer, we have focus, and we have passion. Key, straight to the point, yes. And very effective. Okay, are there family members or other individuals who played important role in your success?
Yes, I have them. They surround me. The first person I will first say big thank you to my husband, about my mom, and my in-laws. They are there for me, praying, support me. Whenever I'm going for a game, they will keep on, you are going there for the gold medal. So they keep encouraging me. Even my husband, whenever I say I'm not going for training, he will say, no, you are going for it. You are training for it. Because if you do not train, there's no how you can achieve your goal. So even if I'm sick, he will say, okay, just take your medication. We are still going for training. So I thank you very much. So I have my family members behind me.
Oh, fantastic. Family support is one of the best support, especially when they are also aligned with your goals. Men, like you said, they will kick you up when you are down and they become your support system. Thank you, family, for being her support system. And the next one is, What will you tell other women who have big dreams but are afraid to start? Or your candid advice?
Well, I know as a physically challenged person, women and other women out there, it's not easy. I know the economics of our nation now is somehow, but I'm encouraging them that they should go for their goal. That if they have passion for anything, let them go for it and keep praying that God should help them, which I believe they will get to that place. So I'm encouraging them that they should not give up on their goal. They should press forward and God will see them through.
Okay, Folashade, thank you so much for your insight. We will always celebrate you. You made Nigeria so proud. So IT support, please, can we play her short video so that we can end her session? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fola. Thank you.
Sorry, there's a problem with the file. We can't play the video now.
Okay, so we will. So can you play the LBS ad? So Folashade, thank you so much for joining us. Then we will, get the video playing, and then we'll play it when it's ready. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for honoring us and supporting us. So
Africa has unique potentials. Operating as one market, it has a population of over 1 billion. Unique opportunities are unfolded when you operate at scale. And this is why leadership is critical. At Lagos Business School, we have our vision of developing responsible leaders that inspire Africa's growth. And that is why to lead, to be successful, to be outstanding in the economic landscape in Africa today, you need collaborative leadership. You need leadership that understands the terrain of Africa, that understands the opportunities, that has the connections across the continent to realize the potential. It's about strategy, it's about visioning, it's about execution, it's about collaboration. And that is why we have put together the Global CEO Africa program at the Lagos Business School. And we put it together with a Pan-African touch. So you have a module in Lagos, the next module in Kenya, Nairobi, that's East Africa, and then the global location, which is at Yale Business School. And the whole idea is to expose business leaders to the unique opportunities of the continent, to look at problems as opportunities, not within a country lens, but to use a Pan-African lens. And you see the scale, you look at the solutions, and then the average cost of implementation gets lower, whilst the value derived is much higher. For us here, we would bring together business experts, leaders who have experience on doing business in Africa, doing business globally. We bring them together and put the participants in this program through what we call the Executive Challenge. That is what is unique. The Executive Challenge is where you take a unique business problem and turn it into opportunity that is unique to your organization. And using case studies, using the discussion sessions, the CEO panels, and the experts that we bring into this program, you get a chance to chart the path to success for your organization. As a business leader in Africa,
IT support. I don't know if it's my network. The video froze. IT support. I don't know if it's my video. I hope not.
No, it's not yours, Ogo. It froze actually.
Okay, it froze. Okay, thank you. I think we have another video to play. Or okay, can we put up the banner IT, maybe I should sorting out the video. The banner, so Mr. Henry will come speak on it. Falashade, are you ready for us? So that after this, okay. IT support, can you? Okay.
Mr. Choba will speak to the banner.
Oh, okay. Who, sir?
Mr. Choba is on
Okay.
the line. He will speak
Okay,
to the
Mr.
banner.
Toba. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ibifuro Olayomi. I'm the Employee Relations Manager in Total Energies EMP Nigeria. And we are very interested in the development of women. We want to make sure that women are well represented across board in all our operations.
My name is Edwina Kentebe Oluwakarede. I work for Chevron Nigeria Limited, and I'm the General Manager, Nigerian Content Ventures and Regulatory.
I'm Director, West and Central Africa for Evidence Action. Women in Leadership is an executive course, encourages all women to have an executive coach to look at their areas of their strengths and their weaknesses and what holds them back from taking positions of leadership. Have been within leadership in the international non-profit sector for some years now. And one of the things I realized is that as you go higher up, there are fewer women. And I also have a lot of women that work under me, which I have to mentor. And because of that, I figured out that I probably do need some more additional tools. Women are encouraged to self-actualize and to develop themselves in leadership capacities. And so I decided to enroll in the Women in Leadership course right here in the Lagos Business School.
So I wanted to harness my leadership skills, get tips from other women leaders on what they're doing to, increase the visibility of women in leadership.
You get to share experiences with colleagues who may or may not be at the same level with you, but you learn specific examples or situations about how they have become leaders or challenges that they have faced and how they were able to address that.
It afforded me the opportunity to also share my experiences, being 30 years in the upstream oil and gas business. And also we had very good speakers, facilitators, who gave us some fantastic tips on being your authentic self, on how we need to mentor and help each other, because it is obvious, all over the world, women in leadership makes the minority.
So I like the very hands-on practical nature of the training here. You can ask questions even after the program. You are given contacts of the instructors. They're actually quite open to having you reach out to them at the end of the program. The added advantage of a community to support you beyond just the training that you receive.
So when I get back, I'm going to ensure that I make a deliberate step to mentor women, and and I have to make that step of also joining more women networks, because we need more women in that space.
I would strongly recommend that the women leaders in my team as well come and participate. From all that I have gathered here today, I hope to be able to apply many of these principles and move forward in my career. And I encourage all women in all walks of life, if you are able, to undertake this course as part of your own personal development. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Lagos Business School. Thank you so much. IT, please put up the banner for the rep to just give us like a 1 minute to 2 minute talk. Can we share the banner? All right, women in leadership. Excellent. I hope we're going to have discounts. Great. So can we get the rep? Mr. Henry, your rep, is he here? So we can give him
Yes, I'm very
speaking
much here.
privileges. Okay, Toba. Thank you, Toba. Thanks for joining. So you have,
All right.
I think, about 2 minutes or so to just run us through this program and what we're going to gain from
Okay.
it.
All right. Thank you so much. I want to, especially appreciate all the speakers so far, and I want to also give, appreciate the organizer of this program. Yes, all the videos I've already summarized all the values there is, for each of the program, that's been advertised today. Talk about the global Chief Executive Africa program and the Women in Leadership program. So I like to, to drive on my point, I like to take a quote from Simon Sinek. He says, leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge. And that's why one of the, thing we can do right now as, women aspiring to go into the boardroom, you just need to invest in yourself by ensuring you enroll for this program that have been advertised. So for women in leadership, a lot is there for you to learn. Enhancing leadership competencies, you learn strategic thinking, business acumen, emotional intelligence, networking and collaboration. I know Henry mentioned that when he was speaking the other time. Also, understanding governance, confidence, and executive presence. All these and many more are the things you get to learn by enrolling for the Women in Leadership program at the Lagos Business School. And apart from that, we also have the Global CEO Africa. So for the Global CEO Africa program, this is a program designed, a Pan-African program designed to bring together chief executives from different parts of Africa. Last year we had 5 different nations represented, and of course, the quad for 2025, we've already started making registration for that. To prepare yourself for the boardroom, program like this, the Global CEO and Women in Leadership program are programs you should consider enrolling for. So enrolling in the Global CEO Africa, for example, you get to understand CEO perspective in Africa, focusing on effective leadership strategy and global business trends. Then you also get to have understanding of market dynamics, governance, people management and strategies, and so on. And to wrap it up, also we'll be having another. We have different arms. There is one that will be done in Kenya. That's Strathmore Business School, in Lagos Business School, then another one in Yale School of Management. And under that you get to understand, how to navigate, adversarial times and lead across cultures. This is, for me, a rich program. And I'll be closing today, by, quoting the word of our former Dean of the Lagos Business School, that's Professor Albert Ellis. He said something. He said, in reflecting leadership, he said, leadership is all about importance of vision, planning, and perseverance. One of the key lessons today is institutions are built through rigorous discipline and vision. So this quote, take this quote from me in closing, great leaders are not just dreamers, they are doers who turn vision into reality through perseverance and discipline. One of the discipline you can take today, even as Olashaye spoke the other time, and talking about what she has done, focus and all, making the decision to invest and enroll for this program. And we look forward to having you. I believe you can also scan, you can scan from what is being projected.
maybe the item they will share it later. The price for the Women in Leadership is $500, while the price for the Global Chief Executive Africa program is $30,500. I will drop on the chat session, my profile or in which you can reach out to me. I'll drop my email address in case you want to reach out in regards to this program. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Toba. We appreciate the LBS coming to share this very, very insightful program with us. It's all about learning, unlearning, and relearning. And as women, in as much as we want to grab those positions, we also have to be prepared for it. So when opportunity comes, they need preparedness. So thank you for sharing this opportunity with us. You can go to the chat box and leave your details, and I'm sure people are going to connect with you. And I think you should rest assured you will see me very soon. Mark my face. I hope there will be discount for moderators. Mr. Henry, yes. So thank you. Okay,
so
thank you so much.
Discount. So there will be discount for group of 5. If you have group of 5, there will be discount.
Is there any code for growth conference code? Please, we should have, because we have people who would like to join. I'll speak to Madam Noella, for our code so that people can get good discounts. Thank you, Mr. Henry. Thank you, Toba. Thank you, LBS. So wow, thank you. It's been such an energetic session. I want us to use reactions in the chat box to say if you're enjoying this. Just thumbs up, love, blow your kisses, give us hearts, so that we'll know that we are really, really, really changing lives. So we move very quickly to now the amiable Folashade. Are you ready for us, Pam?
Yes, I'm ready. My apologies for the glitch, but I think it was a good thing after all. So the silver lining.
Yes, silver lining.
Because it's given us a real life example of how you recover from an adverse situation or circumstance with resilience. And we're going to be talking about that in the slides.
Okay. I yield the floor to you.
Thank you. So I just want to give a quick shout out to my very powerful and supportive community. As soon as I went off, everybody was scrambling around, say, what can we do? What can we do? And that was really awesome. Thank you very much, guys. All right. Okay. So my brief is to talk about mindsets and visualization. My name is Folashade Effiong-Bassey. And I'm going to be focusing on developing the C-suite mentality by overcoming the imposter syndrome and low self-esteem. You're going to learn how to prepare yourself to take risks and step outside of your comfort zone. I've been given 20 minutes and I'm going to try to put everything into that. But before we go on, I'd like to tell you a quick story about a lady, a high-achieving corporate leader called M. Now, this lady has worked for about 12, 13 years, and she had attained a leadership position, and she was gunning for C-suite. She was working in one of those industries that Professor Henry had said, one of the male-dominated industries. And, but she felt that, okay, I want to take a stab at this position. And then when the interviews, were set up within her organization, she had a male competitor who was also gunning for the same position. And M lost confidence. She began to doubt herself. She remembered situations like this. Oh, I'm sure they're going to be judging me. She remembered situations where, as a woman, she had to leave work early to take care of a family emergency. She thought of so many different things, and she began to doubt herself. During the interview, she was hesitant. She was not able to communicate her vision for the organization. She was not able to answer the questions. And instead, she was talking about operational issues, tactical things. On the other hand, her competitor, let us call him B, delivered a bold and innovative vision. And the interview panel, the group directors, were inspired, they were blown away by his ability to inspire confidence in them and his understanding and ideas for the organization. When the results came out, of course, she lost out and she was devastated. You can imagine. She said, I've worked for this for so many years. And her CEO said, look, you're you're an exceptional manager, but why didn't you get the job? Said, but you were talking about operational things, and the other fellow gave us a transformative vision, and she lost that opportunity to go into the C-suite. But the story doesn't end there. Stick with me to the end of the presentation, and we will find out what happened to M. Remember her name because I'm going to ask you, or her initial. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be looking at is now I'm going to be using, because we have so little time, I'm just going to be using descriptions, and this is not going to be so much of a teaching class. Now, mindsets and visualization are powerful tools that help you to transition into boardroom roles. Now, adopting the right mental approach and practicing visualization will improve your leadership presence, increase your confidence and your performance. Now, visualization, we all know what it is, where we're going. You have to define, I call it your heaven. Where are you going? What do you want to do? You have to name it. You have to name it. Something that is not named is formless and it just happens. It's just reactive. But when you give something a name, then it is a proactive situation. So you have to define where you're going and you have to define where you do not want to be. If you don't paint the two pictures, you will be caught in inertia. You will be submerged in the day-to-day operations of your work, which is what happened to M. And it happens to a lot of us because there are always current issues that you have to resolve in your organization. So you'll be submerged in that. And you're neither, in hell behind and you're not in heaven. Now, when you define your heaven, that's your North Star. That is what is pulling you. And your hell is pushing you away. What is hell? What would happen to you if in 1 year you did not make any changes from where you are and you're going somewhere? Because you're on this call, I assume you want to step onto the next level of leadership. So then you go into a mental rehearsal of what you want to do. Just as you carry out a physical rehearsal, you have to do the same thing mentally. What are the things I need to do? How do I develop myself? What are the actions I need to take? You imagine how to speak. We heard one of the speakers said earlier, talking about executive presence. You put all those things, you visualize all those things, and then you practice that on a daily basis. Now, there is no change without some pain. Our coaches will tell you no pain, no gain. But until the pain of remaining the same is greater than the pain of change, you will not move towards change. So that is why it is important to define the heaven and hell. Now, mindset, again, I'm just going to throw words at you so it strikes a chord in you. The mindset that will propel you is a mindset that thrives, is a mindset of action. It is not passive. It is a mindset of curiosity, a mindset that owns things, takes ownership, and is willing to stand to give accounts for the situation that has been put in your care. We heard the LBS gentleman talk about, it's not about, something about people being put in your care and not about you just doing the carrying out the actions. And then a mindset of resilience where you bounce back, as I did, from a situation that would make you uncomfortable. And then grit, it has been, studies have been carried out that have shown that grit is one of the most common factors of all top CEOs across the world, because you'll always have situations, adverse situations, and you always need to have that grit to be able to push through. And then, of course, emotional intelligence, which is the ability to navigate your emotions as well as the emotions of others, and understanding the impact that emotions have on actions, on behavior, and so many other things. And I want to say something. If you're serious about moving to the next level, you need to understand you're not invited or you do not earn the C-suite as a reward for the past or what you have done. You move into the C-suite as trust and belief from executive management or the board that you are able to deliver for the future. So many of us think that, well, I've done so well, I've worked so hard, it's time for me to get my reward. Your reward is the work you do and the salary you get. Moving to the C-suite is a higher level of responsibility that comes, with the expectation of trust. And what are the components of a C-suite leadership mindset? Strategic vision with long-term thinking, the ability to navigate complex landscapes and understand where the organization is going. Capacity and competence to inspire confidence to resolve issues. Capacity, a lot of us think at times that it's just the functional knowledge that I have or that we have. So I'm an engineer and I've been a very good engineer at that. I'm an accountant, I've been a very good accountant, or a finance person, or I've been, whatever function you're in or whatever portfolio you're holding. But your capacity and competence also includes resilience, adaptability, confidence in spite of ambiguity, in spite of uncertainty. We hear talk about the VUCA world where things are so volatile and uncertain. And yet, if you are in C-suite or if you're aspiring to C-suite, you have to have the confidence to see that through. I remember many times my group managing director, when things are going all right, maybe in the economy in the country, and his face he has a calm, like all sails ahead face, and you just have that confidence. You're inspired that this is where going on. So we have to learn how to demonstrate that. That leads to parts of the executive presence. Now you have to add value to your organization. It is not just your work. Whatever you're doing must add revenue, either increase revenue or reduce cost or add some specific value. You have to see the value that you're adding. You're no longer an officer or an assistant manager or a manager. You're moving away from that. So it is not about the work day to day only that you're doing. What is the value that you're going to bring, that you're adding? This is important. And then you have to be able to solve the problems of the organization. Did I say solve problems? I mean, problems disappear. They do not exist. So no board wants a C-suite that is bringing problems to the board. Just solve the problems in a responsible and ethical manner, of course. Noella said something earlier. She said when she goes to sleep, she knows that Ogo is going to do whatever it is. That is exactly the expectation for you if you're moving into the C-suite. And we know a lot about communication, able to communicate effectively with different stakeholders. Some people communicate and drop bombs. Some people communicate, your communication is contextual and subject to your audience and the message. But some of us think I am who I am and you just have to take me as I am and I speak the truth and that's how I'm going to say it. No, you have to tailor your communication to your audience in a way that inspires confidence and conveys knowledge. And you also have to build influence. You have to lead with influence, where you establish trust, where you're able to galvanize people, you're able to mobilize your teams to achieve results. And underpinning all this is ethics and integrity, where you're able to lead provide guidelines to your leaders to make disciplined decisions and foster a transparent and positive organizational culture. You need ethics and influence to do that. So those are components of C-suites. So how do we cultivate the C-suite mindsets? So like I said, it's going to be very practical. Visualization, we've talked about that. You have to align with strategy and long-term thinking. Many of us, when we are, when we're still growing in our career, we have very set ideas at times about doing things. And when you get to a position of, where you can now influence business outcome, you're going north or south, while the board wants you to go north. You really have to rethink. Are you in the right organization? If you're so convinced that your strategy is right and the board is wrong, you may have to rethink your stay, or you may have to find a way to use numbers to convince them. Then long-term thinking, we've talked about that. I don't want to spend so much time on that. Now, leadership responsibilities. You have to understand higher level of responsibilities. There are fiscal responsibilities, there are operational responsibilities, there are environmental responsibilities, there are HR responsibilities, and there are bodies of knowledge behind this within your organization and outside. We have places like the Lagos Business School. We have places like the Institute of Directors. We have places like FITC. We have so many, I mean, we have institutions that are ready to share their knowledge with you in terms of leadership. You also have your own internal policies that you have to understand, imbibe. Many times, especially technical, many times, many of us don't want to do the work to understand policy and think that magic is going to happen just because we're there. You have to understand all those things. And you leverage this to achieve results. It's not just reading or just knowledge for the sake of knowledge. And you're not just carrying out your day-to-day, but you're leveraging all this to achieve the required results. Now you have to learn how to build, if you want to get to the C-suite, like Noella said, she has a strong team. I have a strong community, behind me as well. So with my community, there's nothing I cannot do. There's nothing I cannot achieve. If you build a strong team, it takes passion, it takes rigor, it takes patience, it takes love. Professor Henry was talking about love. It takes determination. You have to carry out performance management. You have to give feedback. You have to push. You have to train. You have to develop. You build a strong team. Some people think that my group and in my organization, we always say recruit people who are smarter than you, because that is the only way you're going to grow. That's the way the team will get stronger. If you're the strongest bastion, in your team is going to crumble. So you recruit people, you work with people who are stronger than you, and together you harness the collective energy, knowledge, and expertise of that team. When you're able to build a strong team and everybody's accountable for the different areas within your sphere of control, then you learn how to delegate. You empower your teams and you enable them to do their work. And then that frees you to make high impact decisions. That will directly translate to business outcomes. If you're following me, could you just drop some emojis so that I know that I'm connecting with you? And then you lead with emotional intelligence. I talked about emotional intelligence being the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotion as well as that of other people. And listen, emotions rule people, right? And I'm sure that if my coach, Coach Nahoro, were here, thank you, Susanna, thank you, Yetunde, thank you, everyone. If my coach were here, he would be saying that, thank you, Tosin. Emotions lead people. And if you understand the emotions of, if you understand what emotions are and you understand how to navigate and help people understand how to navigate their emotions, then you've solved a lot of issues. When Professor Henry was talking about unconscious bias, that's an emotion, that's something in your head. What does that have to do in the business place? What does that have to do? But it has a lot because it influences everything. So as a C-suite, people should stop saying it's not personal, it's just business. You're not working with robots. You're working with human beings who are buying fuel for a certain amount of money, who have to wade through traffic, who are suffering from imposter syndrome and so many other things. And so that is that about cultivating the C-suite mindset. Now, what are some of the pitfalls to success? We're going to take 3 quick bullet points: the imposter syndrome, low self-esteem, and fear of taking risks. Now, what is the imposter syndrome? It feeds your insecurities. I'm not going to define it because the definition will be different for each person. But when I describe it, if you're going through it, you will recognize it. And I want you to face it today. The imposter syndrome has a very negative inner whispery voice. And whatever insecurity you have, and trust me, we all have our insecurities. It feeds it. You're not good enough. You don't deserve this success. I've had an instance where someone had told me, well, but you know that when you got your promotion, you just got it because there was nobody else. They just had to give it to you. That immediately takes away, right, from the feeling of accomplishment and, you know, certainty of your own competence. If you listen to that, someone has told me this, you know, this kind of thing happens several times. I think one of the speakers had said that when somebody told her, tell me, how did you convince the white man to give you this job? Why does she have to convince anybody? Why wasn't she given the job? Because, you know, she was capable. Why do you even think that? That's already is you know, degrading the accomplishments of that person. And so you have this negative inner voice, and it's telling you, you know, that you're feeling like a fraud, you have self-doubt. I didn't go to the right school. I was reading an article in the papers about a girl I was working with PwC, and she said she didn't go to the right school and she felt like she was shut out, you know, from things that were happening. So you hear things like this type of college and that type of college in Nigeria and abroad. I went to public university. I didn't go to a private university. They all went to private universities. I'm speaking with the wrong accents. I wear the wrong kind of clothes. I don't have the right hair. I don't belong to the right tribe. There's so many things. And, you know, this imposter syndrome happens to high achievers. It's not just right all the way from interns all the way to industry titans. In fact, studies as far back as 1920, 1940, as far back as 1980, up to this year, credible studies by Harvard Business Review, like Korn Ferry, have shown that CEOs, as high as 70 to 80% of CEOs confess to having the imposter syndrome. So if you're feeling it, you're in fine company. You're in fine company, and we're going to tell you, you know, what to do about it. So some of the signs talked about that. Perfectionism. You keep doing things over and over. You say, oh, I want it to be perfect. No, it is because you're not sure that you've got it right. You're not confident. You feel something is going to go wrong. There's an obsessive preparation. You drive your team crazy. You do the same thing 100 times because you don't want to be found out. You go over it. You fear that, you know, you're going to fail. You're an accountant, for instance, and you're not intuitively good with numbers. So you're comparing yourself with somebody that does numbers in his head, and you're like, no, I'm not good enough. Or you're not a natural speaker, and you're comparing yourself with someone that's a walking dictionary. Or you have a fear of, you know, you don't want to, you know, you prefer to be an individual contributor. You don't want to lead any team, but you want to grow. So these are different signs that you go through. You're performing so well, you're given an assignment, a stretch assignment, as a sign of confidence, and, you know, to help you, to push you to grow and to innovate. And you're suspicious. You're like, why is he giving me this? Why is he giving me this work to do? You know, he wants me to fail. He doesn't know how to drive me out from the organization. But he has looked for a reason to set me up for public failure. So you're suspicious of praise and recognition. Does this happen to any of us? Do you know anybody that it has happened to? You can drop it in the chat box and let us learn from ourselves. Let's learn from each other. How do I overcome the imposter syndrome? First of all, you have to tout your horn mentally. Remember visualization. You have to recognize what you have done and own it. If you have to write it down, write it down. I've done A, B, C, D. At the end of every day, you know, this is a practical session, like I said, write down what you have achieved. And reverse accountability. You have to hold yourself accountable. You're not going to write down if you're not achieving. So don't lie to yourself. To be sure that you're writing something, you have something, write it, do something and write it. Understand your own distinctive contribution. Then I also always say that when you lack confidence, build your competence. You have to develop your own personalized growth strategy, how to grow, how to develop. LBS has shown us one of those. There's so many ways. There are productivity tools that you can use. There's so many things that you can do. And there are many there are habits, just like a habit, when something is a habit, you just do it without thinking, whether it's good or bad. Same way you have to build performance habits. Unfortunately, we can't go into details here, but you have to build performance habits. And whenever anything is happening, you fall to your habits, right, of giving high performance. And that breeds confidence and builds confidence in other people. Then you have to acquire, I assume a lot of us here already have a growth mindset. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be here at 9 o'clock listening to me talk about moving to the next level, right? So you strengthen your mindset. A growth mindset reframes challenges and failures, right? Reframes failures and challenges as opportunities for growth and innovation. Resilience, I demonstrated that and I told you that it was a good thing. And so with resilience, you're able to bounce back. What is Naira saying today? But you are bouncing back as a business. You are not submerged. Life has to go on, right? And the greatest leaders of all times, they had significant amounts of resilience. And then you move from, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you're continuously learning. We have unlearn, relearn. If you are being told unlearn, relearn, then what do you have a problem with perfectionism and continuous learning? Why do we still continue to, strive for development? Why do you move from the known to the unknown? So, leave perfectionism behind and let us move to continuous learning. Seek feedback and support. I have some of my coaches and mentors on this call. Anytime I have an issue or I'm seeing myself, I go to them and I say, and they help me to reframe and they provide perspective. And that is something that you can also do. Self-esteem will sabotage your decision-making. Now, decision-making is important for you as you're learning to go into the C-suite. You need to understand how to use sound, data-driven, and objective information to drive decisions and present this to executive management. When you have low self-esteem, you're not able to assert authority or influence, and nobody's going to follow you. And who is going to, what use is a leader without a follower? And some of the things you do, surround yourself with supportive and growth-minded people. Like I said, powerful community that I have. And, it's like, what's the next thing? Let's how do we convert this into an opportunity? How do we recover from this? And then I've talked about emotional intelligence. Positive affirmation is to keep talking to yourself and telling yourself who you are, where you're going, what you can do. Now, C-suite executives will face high-stakes decisions that involve risks. However, the ability to successfully navigate risk is what will lead to innovation and growth. I remember when I was younger in my career, when we would have to take certain decisions, maybe around choosing a particular software, or particular program that involved spending money. I would always do collective decisions so that if there's a problem, all of us will be blamed. Or I look for something that everybody else has done and say, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Even if I know that this is not really going to solve my problem. But I was afraid to take that risk. And if it goes wrong, what am I going to do? Luckily, my organization is quite innovative. So you are encouraged to take risks. My group will say, if you take a risk, you make a mistake. As long as it's a logical mistake, even if it costs us money, that's fine. Don't make the same mistake twice. And it takes courage to step out of the comfort zone into a highway that accommodates risk taking. So there are so many types of risks that you'll be contending with. Now you're contending with it, but you're reporting to someone, right? So there's strategy, there's operations, there's financial risk. There are so many risks ongoing. When you are aspiring for the C-suite, you will own those risks. And I'm going to show you, a quick method of how you can overcome the fear of risk. But you have to own the risk. You have to understand that risk, like I said, will lead to ability to navigate it, will lead to innovation. A lot of the banks, well, some of the banks seen in the papers are overhauling their software, their IT. Now, you could say this is an innovation risk or a cybersecurity risk, or operational risk, or a strategic risk. What if they overhaul or they move into a different sector doesn't go well? But what if it works out? Imagine the opportunity for taking over the markets. Imagine the new opportunity for new businesses. Imagine the opportunity for automation and things that are going to add value to the business, depending on the objective that they're seeking for. If they do not take this risk, they will not move forward. Now, when you're moving into C-suite, you will be the one responsible for the risk. It is not the board. Neither will it be the group. You are the one that is going to have to manage that risk. And at any moment, you have two options. You step forward into growth or you step back into safety. And remember, I said, there will be no change until the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of change. So you need to decide, are you really ready for that change? Are you really ready for that pain? And how do we become comfortable with risks? You have to develop a risk-taking mindset. You frame risk as an opportunity. I think I've sort of explained that already. Now, systemized risk management. There is a body of knowledge behind taking risks. That body of knowledge, people have added to this, lots of people, qualified people before you have added to this body of knowledge. There's a way you categorize it. We have risk managers on this call. There's a way you rate it. There's a way you minimize it. They have all their fancy terms. Learn that, work with the risk managers in your organization. Many times there are people that, there are some positions that nobody wants to listen to. Risk, audits, at times HR, they're just a pain, they get in your way. They get in your way and they get in your way and you're not listening to them. So work with your risk manager, understand risk and take that risk. Then you build your appetite incrementally. You seek diverse perspectives from different people. Don't hoard knowledge. You have to harness collective expertise. You delegate, I've talked about that. You challenge your leadership style. Don't be the leader that doesn't listen to anybody. And then you have to align bold risks with your company's strategy. Now, I'm wrapping up. So we said we're leveraging visualization to propel you through obstacles to the C-suite, develop a C-suite mindset through strategic thinking, recognize and address imposter syndrome, take risks, step outside, build confidence, transform your mindset, and transform your impacts. And so I'm going to be asking you to drop in the comment section what are the next steps that you're going to do. But wait, before we go on, what happened to, what's her name? Do you remember? M. She scheduled mentorship sessions with the CEO, and these are things that you can do. She explored additional resources on C-suite leadership development. She attended the programs. She reflected on her mindsets, created a personalized growth plan. She joined forums, expanded her network, practiced strategic thinking. And a year later, she got a senior, she was promoted to a more senior position, and she was right back on track. So her C-suite and board journey. And if you practice, some of the things you're going to hear at this growth conference, I assure you, you will be right on track to get into that level that you want. And we're absolutely rooting for you and wish you the very best. Thank you very much as I come to the end of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Folashade. Well, I just want to say, summarize with that your session was therapy. You opened up the wounds. You told us this is your problem. I know this is your problem. I'm going to talk about it. And when you're done digging through the wounds that we have been hiding with bandage and we packed somewhere, you opened it up and then you came to soothe us, to assure us that what we are going through, it's almost natural, it's normal. and you put yourself in our shoes. You told us your story and how you have also gained your confidence. The chatbot is hot. It is, everybody's like, go girl, I love it. And you really touch on what a lot of people are really dealing with, imposter syndrome. I don't even know where it comes from. I'm glad it even has a name. Before we knew it was a name, it was chaotic. But now that it has a name, you said name some, you must name it. Now we know that is what it is. When it comes upon us during those times, we should qualify it and begin to assure us on the things or what we have achieved, even when we don't even feel completely competent at the point, but we still did a lot of things. So thank you, Folashade. I appreciate your
Thank you
time.
very much.
We're ending your
Thank
session
you for
now.
the,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
So
Thank
let's
you
move
for
on.
the awesome audience. Thank you
Yes.
very much. Thank you
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
opportunity.
Round of applause, virtual round of applause for Folashade. Thank you so much. So I'm moving on to our next speaker. Wow, I have been learning a lot. I hope your notepads, your notebooks, your notes on your phone have been filled up, because I see the Growth Conference as a gift to yourself, something that is going to energize you or just spark you up again to start finding your way and like, you know what, I need to get back. I need to get back to myself. So I'm moving very swiftly and quickly to our next speaker. So our next speaker is so this is we're getting ready to be inspired by a dynamic force who is pushing boundaries and fostering innovation in the financial sector. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome Susan Shibanga. She's the CEO Agora Microfinance Zambia. She's a seasoned leader at Agora Microfinance Zambia. Susan has been instrumental in transforming rural communities through financial empowerment. Joining as CFO in 2016, she quickly ascended to CEO, using her governance and leadership expertise to drive the organization's growth. Under her strategic guidance, Agora has become a top provider of financial services for smallholder farmers and traders in Zambia. Beyond Agora, Susan influences the microfinance landscape as president of the Association of Microfinance in Zambia and treasurer of the Micro Insurance Technical Advisory Group, making her a key figure in advancing financial inclusion. Now she'll be taking us on corporate governance, understanding board structures, roles, and responsibility. Her job is to give us the technical bit of what it means to get to the boardroom and what to expect, the technical part of it. So thank you, Susan, and most welcome to the Growth Conference. And we appreciate you for giving us your time and expertise. So let's give a warm virtual round of applause to Susan as she takes the floor. Thank you. You have 20 minutes to deliver your exceptional speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ogo. Thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. I am so delighted to be part of this conference. And truly, I can see that every person that is on this platform is really determined to get to the next level. I mean, nothing can stop you if you can stay up this late hour or very early in the morning, depending on where you are, just to listen to this and take down the notes and really build yourself. Whatever it is that you invest in yourself, nobody can take it away. And I can assure you, having listened to the various conversations on this platform, the presentations from all the previous speakers, you will not be the same. By the time you wake up tomorrow, you will have a different perception. So we'll get right into it right now as we talk about corporate governance. Let me just see if I can share my screen. That I can. Okay, I'm disabled. I'm just a participant, so I don't know if you could help me.
Technical support, please give her right as a co-host so she can share her screen.
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. I hope everybody can see. See if I can do a slideshow.
Yes, we can. You can see your screen.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, so I will be talking about corporate governance. Definitely a more critical and very, very technical topic. However, I think we shall try and make it as exciting as it can be. I think this is the place where that defines the boardroom. And I think throughout the years, for some of us that would be on this platform, have heard about the corporate failures that have been there in different sectors. And everybody asks the one question: where was the board? Every now and then you will hear there's a company that has been liquidated. There's a company that has declared bankruptcy. Where was the board of directors? And so I'll just share a few tips or a few thoughts around corporate governance that each and every one of us, when we are taking up these board roles, we should bear in mind. You know, taking up a board role is a responsibility. I call it a place of function. It is not just where you will go and make an extra amount of money, but you have a responsibility. And so we'll be looking at what exactly is corporate governance. Why are we focusing on corporate governance? What is the role of the board of directors? Some of the board dynamics, and I'm so glad that some of the previous speakers have spoken to some of the thoughts that I do have here, and the reasons for board failure. When we are talking about corporate governance, and of course, there are a number of definitions out there. So I picked out a few that I could relate with and that do resonate to this presentation. Generally, corporate governance is perceived as a system by which corporations are directed and controlled. And so you need to pay attention to these two words: being directed and being controlled. Sir Adrian Cadbury defined it as corporate governance is concerned with holding the balance between economic goals and between individual and communal goals. The aim is to align as nearly as possible the interests of individuals, corporations, and societies. Here also I picked a few words for myself, which is talking about interests, talking about balancing, you know, communal goals. I personally define corporate governance in a very simple statement. It's delivering balanced outcomes for all. That is how I would define corporate governance: delivering balanced outcomes for all. Now, we do take record that every organization has a number of stakeholders. You will have the employees, you will have the management, you will have the board itself, you will have the shareholders, you will have the clientele that you are reaching out to, you have suppliers, you've got government. That is also a stakeholder in whatever it is that you are doing. And so that is why, in my experience, I have come to understand that corporate governance simply is talking about delivering your balanced outcomes for all your stakeholders. Now, when I look at why corporate governance, we are saying we are managing the stakeholder interest. We are looking at sustainability, we are looking at leadership, and we are looking at ethics. Franklin Roosevelt, who was the 32nd president of the United States of America, he is credited for having taken America through World War II victoriously, and he also led the nation through a Great Depression. What he said at this moment is something that really catches my attention when we are talking about corporate governance. He says the virtues are lost in self-interest, as rivers are lost in the sea. Every time that a board member or a director, or rather a management team member, or even an employee is conflicted in their interests, your virtues are lost. You lose power. Because remember, the reason why you are getting into that organization is to make sure that your interests are aligned with the interest of the organization. It's to make sure that once you are aligned, you are delivering the balanced outcomes for all. When you have one cake, you all share it. And if there is no cake, nobody takes anything. We have seen that the board itself, which is appointed by shareholders mainly, has got what I would call 5 major roles. Number one, they appoint the CEO. And this is the person that the board would ideally work closely with to drive the agenda in the institution. And of course, the CEO will then appoint the management team, which is the extension of their hands. The board also are responsible for the policies and the governance frameworks of the organization. And so if you take up a board seat, you need to understand that you are there to have oversight on the policies, the governance framework, the control environment of the institution, the risk framework of the institution. You are not just there as a board member for you to go and pick up your allowance, or for you to just give instructions, but you have responsibility and oversight of the institution. The board creates the culture in the organization. I think we will have Dr. Patrick speaking to us tomorrow, and he did indicate in his video that the boardroom is not a place for you to wage war. It's not a place for you to begin to show each other who is better than the other. We have seen this in some boardrooms. The directors want to show that they are more knowledgeable than the management. The management wants to show that they actually have more understanding, more experience, hands-on experience than the board members. The boardroom is not a place where we wage war. It's a place where we collaborate with one interest in mind, the organization. The board creates the culture of the institution, in that the board, whatever it is, whatever the direction that, or the tone that the board will set in the institution, that is what will be cascaded throughout to the most junior employee. And so if the board creates an environment of respect and trust, you will understand that the entire institution would follow through. If the board is very supportive, and we could see the statistics as presented before by Dr. Henry, I think that the board has got the responsibility to create a gender strategy that is going to help to bring these women to the boardroom. It is because the board that creates the culture is full of men. How do you expect them to start thinking about gender and diversity and inclusion? And sadly enough, sometimes you will find that even when women would get into the boardroom, they would think that they need to think like men. We have seen that over the years. And I would like to encourage the women that are even listening right now. You don't need to go into that boardroom to try and imitate men or to try and think the way they think. You have an opinion. That is why you are a woman. You have an opinion. And you need to add your voice to the decision. A voice that speaks and thinks like a woman. I do understand that there are many stereotypes that are there, as highlighted earlier. And some of these have actually ended up giving us that imposter syndrome that has been talked about, where you think that I do not add value. And specifically in Africa, I think this would also be in some other countries in Asia, probably, where the culture is really about men. We think that if me as a woman, I'm going to add my voice, then people will think I'm very disrespectful. How can I respond to a man's opinion, which is not right? How can I counter that? And so the board has this responsibility to make sure that they create the right environment in which the organization can thrive. The board is also there to manage stakeholder interest through the decision-making process to make sure that each and every stakeholder, their interest is actually taken care of. Talking about board dynamics, there is a book that I've been reading by one of the authors here in Zambia, Dr. Nelly Kangwa, and please, if you can find this book on Amazon, please get it. The title itself is very captivating, It says From Boardroom to Bedroom. I love the book because it actually is talking about the different dynamics that are there in the boardroom and also the dynamics that are there in the bedroom. So when it says the boardroom, it's just a place of decision making, the marketplace, where you can play as an entrepreneur, as a professional, as a businesswoman, the marketplace itself. And then when you're talking about the bedroom, it's just a home place. And I think that, as women, this is a place, this being in the marketplace and being in the bedroom, as this is stated, the balance really is very difficult to find. And I tend to agree with her that really there's no balance, but you wear the right cap at the right time. How do we establish our relationships in the boardroom? I can tell my own experience since I joined Agora Microfinance. Funny enough, and it has happened, I don't know, naturally. I've been the only woman in the management team for a very long time. So I'm surrounded by men. And a few times we've had ladies that have come on board and have then left the institution. But one thing that I have learned is that women think differently from men. It is very clear in the boardroom. You can actually see it. But there are certain fundamentals. Somebody asked me, how do you manage to lead men? And it's very simple. It's really the relationships that you create, the level of trust, and also the respect that is given. But again, I'm very quick to mention, ladies, remember the culture that we were talking about? There is submission in the boardroom. But your submission is not the cultural submission where we say, as a woman, you definitely need to submit to men. The submission that is there in the boardroom is you are submitting to the vision and the mission of the organization. And therefore, you learn to create the healthy relationships within the boardroom space. I've also come to learn that, you see, because men are very social, you will tend to realize that they don't make many of their decisions in the boardroom. By the time they are coming to the boardroom, to the meetings, they have already made up their mind outside in whatever circles that they were meeting. And they are only coming to validate their decisions in the boardroom. And so in my few years, in my formative years, when I was taking up roles in the boardroom, I felt like everything just needs to be discussed here. And so I want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points that I want everybody to come and discuss with me in the boardroom. And I realized people had already made up their mind. And sometimes it can be very frustrating because you tend to feel that you don't have the right support. But it was just the environment, the place in which you were discussing these things. And so as women, we need to see how we create the right relationships in the boardroom space, in the marketplace, so that you can thrive and have the right support from your systems. Also, when I'm talking about relationships, probably I could divert it a little bit, As a woman thriving or striving to get into a board seat, or you are already in a board seat, it's very important for you to see how you would manage even your relationships outside of the boardroom. The support system that you do have, the environment that you create. Some of the women that we would have would be married, others would not be married, but then would have other responsibilities. It's very important for you to ensure that the relationships that are outside the boardroom also thrive. Because as women, we are so inclined to relationship. And so you find that if outside the boardroom, your relationships are not thriving, you can easily get disconnected. And the very first thing that you will condemn yourself with is probably, I don't need to be in this professional space. I have seen that across, even for some of the ladies that I have mentored. They will say, oh, I really want to get married, but I feel like taking up this seat makes me be more superior than my partner. And therefore, I don't want to take up this seat. I don't want to be there. I would rather give up this seat and make sure that my bedroom relationship or my home relationship is the one that thrives. Remember, you need to make sure that you are having the right cup at the right time. Now, within the boardroom, I have come to realize that the values that you do hold as an individual have a key role to play in how you will succeed at the table. I always love to say, people will follow and support values. It's the values that they will follow. Let's talk about some of the boardroom dynamics that we would have. So, for example, we know that we all grow up in different environments. And the way that we are raised has got the ability to influence how we relate with other people. When I have been reading Thomas Erickson's book, Surrounded by Setbacks, I think it's a sequel to the other book that he wrote, Surrounded by Idiots. He likes to use the DISC model, of describing behavioral types. We're talking about the reds, the blues, the yellows, and also the greens. In many cases, those come about because of their reaction to a situation. And the reaction that you will have as a human being to a particular situation is informed by your values. It is your perception. If you need to bring forth something that needs to be endorsed by the board of directors, how will you influence? How will you make sure that you can actually counter a thought that comes in from the board chairman? As a CEO, as a CFO, as a management team member, without taking anything personal. Because indeed, when you are in the boardroom, people are going to counter your proposals. It's not everything that people are going to agree with. People will counter your proposals. People will reject your proposal. So how you come out of that boardroom from that decision that you did not anticipate, and how you will go back the next time, probably with the same proposal but presented in a different way, is determined by how your values have informed your decision. Because some people have ended up giving up. They disrespected me. They did not support me. And like Folashade was talking about, you get an imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. I cannot do anything that can lead to success. And so it's very important for one to keep checking up on their values and make sure that they are very solid. When you get in the boardroom, it's not a place for you to be so emotional, but it is a place for you to just be authentic, to be strategic, and to make sure that you are making objective decisions. Your values will help you to be ethical. There is one aspect, I think, that many times when we're talking about corporate governance, we really don't focus on so much. We'll talk about sustainability of the organization, we'll talk about leadership, but we don't talk so much about ethics. And this is an area that also can bring about the conflict of interest. Talking about some of the stereotypes, I did highlight, I think in my introductory video, When I took up this role, this young man who came up to me and asked, but how did you convince the white man to give you that job? And I wondered what he meant, you know? Is it that a woman could not take up this job? Is it that you cannot really be, you are not competent enough? And so there are all these stereotypes that people have, and everybody needs to be confident about themselves and their own abilities for them to be able to deliver.
Okay, Susan, are you almost due to wrap off? Because
yes,
okay.
Almost.
Almost.
Thank you.
Because we need to get the next speaker on. Thank you.
Sure. Actually, I'm getting into the last slide.
Okay.
This is the last one.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yeah, so we have seen a number of board failure. And I think in my view, a lot of it is because of a lack of participation by the board, the lack of paying attention to the detail. You know, you find that the management can send information to you as a director, and you will not read the information. You do not pay attention to the information. Remember, when we started, we indicated taking up a board seat is actually a responsibility. And so the corporate governance failures that we have seen in the examples of Enron and other institutions, the Silicon Valley really it's how was the board taking up their responsibility? Were they checking the numbers? Were they actually asking the right questions to the management team? Were their interests conflicted? When you have a dominance by other members, and most of the times it's from the board chairperson dominating all the conversations, and nobody can actually speak, it's a red flag. We need to make sure that everybody has a voice. And of course, we have highlighted on the conflict of interest that would be created. I would like to encourage each and every one of us, as we are taking up these seats at the table, to make sure that we are delivering balanced outcomes for all, because that is the reason why you are brought in as a director, to ensure that you are managing well in the institution. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Susan. You know, you just dissected corporate governance. You know, when we hear corporate governance, we just think it's this voluminous, you know, book that someone needs to read and just pack it one place. But you made it realistic, something that we can, you know, use in our daily life, even if you're not at the board. Corporate governance is really important for everyone. Thank you. I appreciate your time. We need to go to the next speaker now. And thank you so much, Sudan. We appreciate your time. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. We're just on our last leg of today's event, and thank you for staying with us. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for, you know, participating in this wonderful event. So we are now getting on to our fourth speaker for today. And this is someone who has a career spanning over 36 years. You know, we have a distinguished speaker who will be sharing insight from a remarkable journey as a corporate leader. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome Raz Gohil. Now, Raz Gohil is a corporate partnership manager for women in banking and finance. Raz is a distinguished banking veteran with over 36 years. I just gave an extra year. 36 years career in leadership role across commercial banking, strategy, credit and risk management, and financial crime compliance. She holds certifications from the Lumina training programs, focusing on behavioral interactions and leadership. At Moody's Analytics, Raz excelled in developing and delivering tailored training programs for Tier 1 banks, addressing critical areas like credit, risk, and regulatory compliance. Sorry about that. Her global experience spans the UK, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific, and the Americas, including a notable career at HSBC. Fantastic. Raz standout attribute lies in her strategic acumen, complemented by her meticulous nature, which facilitates both upstream and downstream implementation. With her wealth of experience and articulate demeanor, she made a significant foray into the role of development and learning to champion industry-wide best practices. She will be taking us on managing politics, emotional intelligence, and workplace politics, how to circumvent the inevitable. Raz, this for us, politics in the workplace. Well, I feel woefully at it. I feel woefully because I'm always like, unravel this thing. Don't layer anything for me. Tell me as it is, so I feel woefully in it. So please take the center stage and deliver what you have for us, the magic that you have for us. Thank you. I give the floor to you.
Thank you. So first and foremost, there's no slides from me. So you'll be pleased to know that we're not going to have any slides, not going to be reading anything. And so it's, well, as much as I want to make it engaging, I am conscious of time. I hope you've all taken waking up pills so that you can stay awake, or you're drinking lots of tea, coffee, or whatever it is that keeps you awake. But when I got asked to talk about the politics, it was really funny because throughout my entire career, I'm probably the one that doesn't play by politics. I'm say it as it was, let's say, and sometimes it got me into trouble, but sometimes it actually put that footprint on for not just women, but for even men that weren't able to speak up. We always talk about the women not being able to speak up, but sometimes what we don't forget, or we do actually forget, is there are men also in that position. So whilst I know we're talking about the emotional intelligence, and I know a few of my fellow speakers have spoken about that, what I kind of wanted to talk about is the emotional intelligence and the workplace politics that exists. So office politics, as we know, always exists. It's an inevitable part of organizations. And as especially you climb that corporate ladder towards the boardroom, more and more is the need for emotional intelligence, more commonly known as we know as EQ, and political intelligence, PQ. And we need both of these to manage and navigate the landscape effectively. So let me just kind of talk about emotional intelligence. What does it really mean? Self-awareness, right? So the key thing is about what are you saying? What's your body language saying? Look at yourself in the mirror, because what we often don't realize is when someone says something to us, we don't realize that our body language speaks before we've even opened our mouth. Okay, it's a case of, and I've been told you can read my face like a book. If I'm annoyed, angry, happy, you can see it on my face, and I try to hide it. I just can't. You see me as what you get is what you see. But the key thing about is think about what you're saying. What is it around you? And I think a couple of my fellow speakers actually also mentioned about body language. I can't stress enough how important it is about what you say and how you say it. And just to kind of, give you an example, it's like I used to, I've learned the hard way going up that ladder, especially when I was in HSBC, because if I didn't agree with something, I'd go straight to the point and say, right, I'm not happy with it. I don't agree with it. But that wasn't getting me anywhere. So it was how you say it. So and especially when I started doing all my training sessions and training banks and financial institutions around the world, if someone says in the audience that you don't agree with, you normally, your back goes up, right? Your shoulders go up and you kind of all, I don't like what you've just said. What we need to do is actually calm down and think, how can I answer this in a diplomatic way? So whereas before I used to say, why don't you agree? which is something that, you learn along the way. And as you mature, you learn different language. It became more, oh, so help me understand why you don't agree rather than the why, so the tone. So think about what you are as an individual. All of this is what's it's your step of the ladder getting to the boardroom, because if at the bottom stage, the bottom rung of the ladder, you are already using language that is not corporate, if I can put it that way, then you're not going to climb up that ladder. So how you say things, and this is not about trying to sweet talk people, it's being honest to yourself, but at the same time, getting that message across in a way that delivers. The other thing is self-management. How are you handling your own behavior? So what I said earlier on about your facial expression, your body language, when you get to the boardroom, even your journey to the boardroom, you can't display the actions that are going in your head. You might want to say all these things because you're not happy with what's happened. And I think one of my fellow speakers who talked about the lady M, that, the imposter, not the imposter syndrome, she'd lost the confidence in trying to get up that ladder. Right now, what we need to do is we need to build that confidence. And the way to build that confidence is, how do you handle yourself? What is it about yourself that you can think, can I manage this differently? Can I use different words? Can I get them on side? One of the things I teach is colors, and another fellow speaker of mine talked about colors, the blue, the red, the green, the yellow. And what you have to establish is, when you are making that journey up to the boardroom, what are the colors that you are facing? And what are the colors are you? Your color will not be dominant all the time. You'll have different dominant colors, but you have to adapt your colors to who you are dealing with. The bosses are always the reds. That's what we say. They're always red. But there are different shades of red. You can be the red dictatorial. This is the way it is. It's my way or the highway. Or you can be the red that actually is a guiding red. They're guiding you, gradually getting up there, because the red are the decision makers. And that's what you will be when you get to the boardroom. And in order to make an effective decision, these colors come into play. It's identifying who's in your boardroom. What colors are they? How do I speak to that person? I think they're a blue. I need to talk figures. I think they're a red. I need to give them the information straight away, because they don't want the jibber jabber that goes on afterwards. They're a yellow. I need to tell them a bit more fluffy so that they can listen. So these kind of things you need to know when you're making your way. This is politics. I know you're thinking, well, surely these don't come into it. Believe me, emotional intelligence is all about your mindset, your behavior, and your body language. So how you get there. Social awareness is another thing. What's happening around you, right? Think about, do you need to adapt? So you might come in with all these ideas. You want to get to that boardroom and you're making your step. You're now on the third or fourth rung of that ladder. How do I become aware of what am I doing? So be prepared to be adaptable, be flexible, and read the behaviors. So sometimes you have to understand who your team is, and you might need to deal with them differently. I often used to say, when I was at HSBC, when I was head of corporate, and it was what made my team tick to get what I wanted out of them. And each individual was different. This person was absolutely competitive, that I would then feed them stuff that would make them more competitive. This person needed to build their confidence in going out winning new business, so you'd build on their confidence. And that's when you're in the boardroom, well, whether you're the chair, whether you're just an executive member. I say just, I don't mean to demean it. Whether you're an executive member, it's understand what it is that you're doing. How can you read the behaviors, and how you speak to them matters. So managing, your emotions is a big thing. That's the emotional intelligence part. When we get to the political part, this political awareness, this is office politics. We've all been there. We've all had that. And believe me, as women, I'm going to put it out there that women are probably the worst when it comes to office politics. Okay. Don't get biased and don't get drawn into cliques and conversations that are then going to backfire onto you when you, because when you're at this level here and you're thinking, right, I'm going to say what I feel, right, that then reverberates when you get to the top. People are going to remember what you said down there. And I often say, remember the people that on your way up, because they're the people you're going to meet on your way down. So how you speak at whichever level, that's office politics. Remember what you say and how you say it. Don't get involved in that. That's going to have a big impact to your, on your journey to the boardroom. We talk about strategic decision making, right? Remember, you've got to take the emotion out of the decision making. This is what decision is the best decision for that organization. You may personally not agree with it. It's like saying you're going to, because we're women, we want to interview more women or men or whatever the case may be, and you want to give it to the female because they deserve it, because we need to hit that metric. We need to hit that number. No, we don't. We've got to get the right person for the right job. That's what's going to make that organization successful. So the key thing is when you're making those decisions, getting to the boardroom, those things people are going to remember. And when you're in that boardroom, remember the decisions you're making is for the organization, not for yourself personally. You can't think, the biases come in. We've got to get rid of those biases. There are times when when I think one of my fellow speakers had said, bringing in people that know more than you, because that's how the organization grows. That's a fantastic thing. It's like bringing in people that know more than you. You learn from them. And the key thing there is, by learning from them, you're actually also getting the respect from them because you brought in someone that knows more than you, but you're learning. You're not having that red color that comes out and saying, I'm the boss. What you're actually saying is, I'm still learning. I'm being guided by you. Show me what you're doing. Make my organization grow. Right? So that's all the office politics. Influence and persuasion comes into office politics, right? How often do we try to get people to do things? And there are different ways of saying it. And like I said before, I've learned the hard way, but I'm glad I've learned that way because I've taught myself and I've learned a lot about myself as a result. So when you want something done, there are ways of saying it. Sometimes even when you're annoyed and you think, God, you've missed that deadline. I asked you to get this straight away. Why wasn't this done? What you have to do is not actually act that way. It's get them to think that they're doing it. So rather than saying, why didn't you do this? I need this. Go in and say, look, I really need a big favor. You know that information I needed last week? We're a bit behind. Really, really need that. If you can get this to me sooner, then you know what? We can work on this together. Just give me the draft. They will feel respected, and then you get that respect in return. And in future, you get that deadline. Because at the moment, if you turn around and say, I want this, they're going to give you something that's probably not worth the paper it's written on. But when you're working with them and you're actually giving them that responsibility, and I say in inverted commas, they feel really bound to want to impress you. So this is the thing. This is how you get your boardroom when you're there, whether you're as a member or as the chair, as a vice chair, whatever your role is. It's working with all of them in different styles and behaviors. I've talked about adaptability, but let me just talk about kind of, I'm conscious of time. So let me just give me the nod if I need to stop talking. I am trying to rush through this because I've got the graveyard shift, as we call it, but I'm trying to G everybody up. I'm trying to wake everybody up. So I hope you're not in bed. So political strategies for navigating office politics. What I'd say is just reiterating, develop your self-awareness, understand your emotional triggers, okay? And the biases. You can't bring them out. We talked about biases. There's one of our speakers had brought the biases, and I do a whole program on all the different biases. I know I think they mentioned about 2 or 3. There's far more biases, but understand your biases, right? Because that's, you know, how you will, even when you become part of that boardroom and you're taking your journey up there, you'll have new members and you'll think, I'm not so sure how am I going to deal with that individual. Take those biases away. You've got to have a completely diplomatic, you know, objective view. You've got to take the subjectivity out. Build a strong network, because by building a strong network, you can strategically connect with all the right players and the key players across the organizations. Now, this is not about what we call sweet talking, for want of a better word, although I'd use other words. This is about making sure that you can make an impression within your organization so that you can be sponsored up into that boardroom, or you can be sponsored as a volunteer or a non-executive director into a boardroom. So have your key people within your own organization that you can talk to. Impress them by doing things for them, with them. If it's a project, if it's a paper, help them write it, because that's how you get recognized. And that's, you know, again, working that way up. We often say that active listening, it's a cliche, active listening, yeah, whatever, right? And I always use my husband as a classic example. There's listening and there's hearing. Often when I've told him to do something, he says, no, you didn't, I didn't hear you. No, you heard me, you weren't listening to me. And this is the key thing. Listen to what people say and take that in, because that's what's going to help you when you're there. If you're just kind of hearing words, you're not taking the full story. So think about, what is it they're actually saying? Read between the lines. They might say something because they're trying to be politically correct, but you need to read between the lines and think, what is it that they're not saying that I need to know? That's the key thing. What's the blank in the middle between the 2 lines? They're not saying that I really need to know. And understand that, get to know that. That's your non-verbal language, right? What are they saying? Their visual, their face, their body language. What is it? The one thing I always say is manage your reputation, okay? We often say your reputation follows you. So this is what I said. When you're going up that ladder, remember the people, because they're the ones that are going to remember you on the way down, or not, as the case may be. So build that reputation, whether it's reliability, whether it's consistability, whether it's support, whatever the case may be. Make sure that you build that reputation for you. Okay, your reputation will precede you. It's not a case of you go there and they know you. They'll know you before you've got to that boardroom. They'll expect that from you. So that could stop you getting to the boardroom if your reputation isn't as great as you want it to be. And it's up to you to build it. Nobody else. It's you. Only you can build that reputation. You need to be able to say, this is me. I'm the full picture. This is what I can do for you. This is my track record. That's what you have to do. Make sure that you follow your track record. Your track record should mirror, when you're there, what you have done and what you're doing. And finally, I would talk about, I'll go through very quickly the bullet points, but cultivate emotional resilience. You need to be able to bounce back. You know, we often say, I don't know if any of you are aware of these Russian dolls. They're called Weebles, and they kind of bounce back and up, right? And what they do is you knock them back and they come back up. You knock them down, they come back up. We need to be able to do that, because if you knock down once and you don't get back up, forget it. You've got no chance of getting up there again. You have to learn to go back and get up again. And each time it'll take, it's harder each time you do it. However, you can do it. So just to kind of summarize, what I'd say is applying the emotional intelligence and the political intelligence into the boardroom. Make sure you're strategically managing your relationships. Demonstrate your own value. Remember that you need to demonstrate your value to that boardroom or to the people that are going to take you there. Develop a board level perspective. you have to start thinking at that level before you even get to the boardroom. It's no point in saying, I'll get there and then I'll think about it. In order for you to get to the boardroom, you have to have thought at that level already, so that when you get there, you hit the ground running and you start in doing whatever it needs to be done. That's where you get your reputation and your respect. Seek mentorship. So try and get good mentors and sponsors that can guide you to get to that boardroom. So make sure that you've got the key people that are helping you as well. Your brand is your reputation. Build it, maintain it, sustain it. Okay. And have that brand. I used to be known as troubleshooter. If anything needs to be done, I'll go to Raz, she'll sort it. And it always became, oh, Raz will go and sort it. But that, fine, that was great, because it meant that I broadened my skill set, which is what you saw in my bio, that I go across the whole spectrum. But that was one of these ones. Raz will support you, she'll get it done. Build that brand, build that reputation. And finally, I'm going to say, embrace calculated risks. Okay, so show your ability to make those tough decisions. Those decisions are not easy, and you do need to make those tough decisions. Don't have the bias. Don't be scared, and don't when you're making a decision. Well, I think cut all of that out. I think this is the way we should do it. What's your thoughts? So always get your point across, but get everybody's buy-in. Don't just dictate it. So when you are getting there, and in order for the females to be there, we use a lot of emotional intelligence, right? And we have to understand that use the emotional intelligence to your advantage, right? Not to your disadvantage. Use it so that you can build yourself, build your organization, and get up there and get yourself known. And that's the important thing. So the goal in getting to the boardroom is not manipulative behavior, right? It's use your intelligence, your political intelligence, your emotional intelligence, and always think of the positives. Don't think of what's gone wrong, what could have gone wrong. It's what's gone right. So when someone says this didn't go well, say, yeah, but this has gone well. Focus on the positives. The negatives, if it's happened, you can't do anything about it, but you can build on the positive. So I'm going to stop there, because I know that people are probably getting ready for bed and they're probably in the pajamas already and want to have you. But I'm still stuck here, just to let you know. I haven't got my pajamas on yet. I've got to get in.
We haven't as well. We're here. Thank you so much, Raz. It was explosive. It was self-explanatory. You broke it down into little nuggets, something we can just nibble on and chew on and immediately imbibe, and like, I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Thank you. But before we let you go, just allow us to answer like one or two questions.
Yeah,
and
of course.
This is very important. Okay, great, fantastic. So there is a narrative that most women in higher leadership role are not friendly, and very far from rich, and I'm not too approachable in leading teams. How is this assertion true? And if so, how can we turn this narrative into a positive one as women?
Right. Okay. I would say it's true, and I'll tell you why it's true. Is women, when they get to the top, they feel as they've achieved something that nobody else has, so they feel threatened when you are trying to get there. They feel that their position is going to be threatened if you go there, because they've got there, they've done it the hard way. Why should you be given the easy step? The key thing is how you deal with it. So rather than actually making them, rather than being away from the idea and probably disparate from the idea, get them to the way you talk to them is, I'm really impressed with the way you've actually got to the boardroom. What did you learn? How can you help me go to another boardroom or get to the level? What you need to do is impress upon what they've achieved. So it's not an ego boosting point for them, but it's just impress upon everything they've achieved and how they've achieved it, and say, wow, that's fantastic. How did you do that? And so get the ideas from what they've achieved. Let them talk about themselves. When they start talking about themselves, we do this all the time. when you get someone to talk about themselves, they'll carry on talking and talking and talking and read between the lines what they're saying and pick up the good points, thinking that's well. So I hope that kind of answers the question. I don't know. I feel.
Okay, I just want to ask, so how do you even approach them if they're not approachable? What tact? Will I say tact? Would you use, how would you do that to just even get the floor open, to even, like, if maybe stroke their ego? I don't know how to put it best. But how do you even open the door to them? Because I know that they can be far-reached. You can't, even the men are, but the women are even farther away for the next woman. So what is that tact? Do you use somebody else? Do you use another man to get to her?
No, you have to, if you want to approach them, you mustn't use anybody else, because that then doesn't give you, that doesn't make you the person you need to be. You're using someone else. So what I would do, and the way I've dealt with this, and I have had a couple of female bosses who, they're so high up, they can't be bothered to talk. That we're just, we're kind of the minions at the bottom. But what I've actually done, the way I've approached it is, I'm really impressed with your career. Would you be able to mentor me, please? And it's using that. But when I say mentoring, it's getting them to mentor you, but say to them, could I also do a bit of reverse mentoring? And I'm not sure if anybody is aware of what reverse mentoring means. So what it basically means is they're senior to you and they're mentoring you. But reverse mentoring is actually mentoring them back. And the way to mentor them back is giving them feedback, which is always positive. Always positive. This is why I say focus on the positives. So get them to mentor you, but just give them feedback and say, that was really, I really used that point you told me in this role. Because what, like you say, it's kind of ego massaging, but it's not, because what you're actually saying is they're imparting their knowledge onto you, and you're using that knowledge to say, I've used it. That was a fantastic idea. The things that you don't like, don't even talk about. Don't ever go to someone and say, you know what, I used that and it didn't work for me. Don't ever say that. Just go in and say, right, what those ideas you gave me were fantastic. I've used this and I really like the way you've dealt with this. But at the same time, don't ever feel that you want to, don't say, I want to do this. I want to do your job, right? Unless you are confident enough to say. And I have, in the past, I've been that bold when when I've had that and someone has said, so why are you asking me all these questions? And I said, well, I want your job. And they've kind of said, well, you can't have it. And I said, well, we'll see about that. But it's been as bold without being rude, if that makes sense. But the key thing is get them to mentor you, because once they're mentoring you, they'll tell your journey, and then you can turn around and say that, give them the feedback, because you don't realize they actually want feedback, but they're too scared to ask for it, because they're too scared to think that they're going to get the negative feedback. But if you only give positive feedback, but and the negative, turn it into the positive. So don't say, you didn't do this well. Just say, if you'd have done it this way, I think we could have achieved this. So do you see how we turn the negative, instead of using the don'ts, the won'ts, the nevers, it's the do's, the well, and what have. So change all those negative words into the positive words. You're still giving them feedback that they may not like, but what you're doing it is, instead of providing them with that didn't work, you're actually providing them with a solution and saying, what about this? But the other thing you can do is, if you are working on a project with them, get them to give you a project as a side and say, work with them and say, I'm going to make you look good, right? If you give me this project, it's your project. I'm going to work for you to do this project. Let them deliver the project as their own. But what it means is that you're working as a team. You're learning from them, and you don't realize you're learning from them. And what they then think is you become their support. When you become their support, you're actually helping yourself, because you're learning from them without even realize you're learning from them. So that's the one thing I would say. Don't get anybody else to approach. You've got to approach it yourself. You've got to be bold and you've got to be confident to approach it yourself. But there are different ways of how you approach it. I hope that's answered the question. Long-winded. I'm so sorry.
Yes. Yes. No, it's fine. It gives a lot more clarity to the question. So thank you so much, Raz. I wish we could take more and more questions because this was such an interesting session. And I
Thank
have
you.
learned so much, me particularly, not really into office politics, no layers. Let's get it. But
You'd be
do better.
surprised how much you'd be surprised how much office politics can ruin your reputation and stop you getting to the boardroom. Believe me.
Yeah, sure.
So
Yeah,
we've
sure.
got we manage those office
I
politics.
try my best to break those barriers when it comes to my table. I try my best to break them so there's more clarity, honesty for the team to know. So that's my own job in office politics. I make it more open for everybody to see and look into it.
Yeah, that's great.
So
I would say just one thing. If someone comes to you with a problem, because it's all office politics, always say to them, what's your solution? So don't ask them, don't let them come to you with just the problem. Tell them to come to you with the problem, but say, what's your solution? And let's work on it. Because then you're giving the responsibility back onto them. But what they're also doing is thinking about how can I actually improve it? Because if they've got a problem, they're just going to say, oh, that's a problem and you're the leader and you deal with it. When you get to the boardroom, that problem becomes your problem. So it's their own problem. So always ask anybody that, Frayne, you've got a problem. What's your solution? Hope that helps.
Yeah, it helps. Thank you so much, Raz. Well, we have to come to the end of our session today. Day one was energetic, electric, ecstatic, and everything E, everything E positive happened today. But before I bring in the host to close the session, I would ask everyone to please turn on their camera for a quick group photograph. Plus, even the audiences, a quick one, a snapshot. The IT is just here, just a snapshot, and then we can let the host, Dr. Genevieve, to close the session with her closing remarks. IT support, let me know you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready.
Let's take a quick snapshot.
All right, let me see your beautiful smiles.
Are we ready? Okay, let's, on the count of 1, 2, 3, we are just going to smile and we'll take a snapshot. So 1, 2, 3, go.
All right, amazing pictures taken.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for having me as a moderator today. Tomorrow will be Tutu's turn. And let me welcome back our amazing host, Dr. Genevieve Duncan. Please, I give the floor to you.
Wow. I must say, it's been amazing. I'll just start quickly from Raz's point. Your brand is your reputation. Build it, maintain it, and that's good. I love it. Thank you so much, Raz. And then I'll quickly move to something Susan said that got to me. We don't take emotions to the boardroom. My women out there, no excuses. Don't let your emotions keep you aware. Emotional intelligence is key for leadership roles. So please don't give yourself away, no matter how stressed you are. And then quickly to Folashade. Oh my goodness. Be invaluable networks. Have persons, have buddies, have people you can relate to, people who are your community, people who will be there for you, speak for you when you are not there. And that is how a lot of women get into the boardroom. You are doing so well, but you're in your small corner. Nobody gets to see you. But because you built a great brand, because you belong to a wonderful community, because you are positive-minded, someone is able to mention your name at the right places. And once the job offering comes, because you are prepared, the key word is preparation before the opportunity knocks at your door. So I think that with all that we've heard, to wrap it up with what Henry said, we need the men in our corner. We cannot do it all by ourselves. We need the men as our cheerleaders. We need the men to support our cause. So women, today has been fantastic. all of you who have stayed till this late, well done. But I must say that join us tomorrow for another exciting time, where we get to take a few tidbits on executive presence, on how to take out the stereotypes, and how to get networks and mentorship, sponsorship, I must add, which will take you to the next level of your career. It's been amazing being your host, and I must say that I have taken away a lot, and I know you're also taking out a lot. Thank you once again to our amazing speakers. It's been exciting listening to all of you. To our one and only moderator, Ugo, thank you so much. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce your name well. And then to Nuella, my sister, thank you.
It's okay.
Thank
Thank you.
Wonderful conference. To all of us out there, the audience, what I want to say is that invite another woman in your network to join us tomorrow for another exciting time. Thank you so much and have a good evening and a good night. Lots of love from Accra, Ghana, the gateway to Africa. Remember, Ghana Jollof is always the best. Nigerian friends.
Good night, everyone.
Dr. Jeremy wants to start a war.
Good night, and thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Thank you. Bye-bye. It's definitely pajama time now.
I have a good
Yes,
Dr. Jenny.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.